And in front of the beautiful, illuminated, inflatable castle's crown of Liechtenstein in its capital city of Vaduz, we welcome you to the next Drone Prix Liechtenstein of the World Championship for professional drone racing teams, which is the Drone Champions League. Good evening to you, or morning or afternoon, wherever you are joining us from around the world. I know the drone racing community always joins us at DCL Race, the live celebration of drone racing, and I know it brings together so many racers, so many fans, pilots who've raced with us, and pilots who maybe hope to race with us in the future. This is the World Championship. These are the best 8 teams. And Liechtenstein is where we find ourselves on the next stop of our world tour. In this incredible place, welcoming us back after we were here 2 years ago. That bridge is no less than the border between Liechtenstein and Switzerland. Just over that river will get you from one to the other into this beautiful country with its incredible scenery, wonderfully clean air, interesting art all over Vaduz, the capital of it as well. That's sculpture everywhere to be found. And we are borrowing some of this great city right in the middle. In front of that government building, no less, is where DCL has arrived for its next stop on the tour. Welcome to Vaduz. Welcome to the Drone Prix Liechtenstein and another thrilling evening of live drone racing for you. Can't wait to see what our teams can do. I'm Matt Andrews. Martijn de Kemp joins me here again in a place I know you have such fond memories of. We've had great action here yesterday, but of course 2 years ago was pretty good.
Yeah. Time flies. Time flies. Yeah. But it's absolutely amazing to be back.
Your drone flew when you raced 2 years ago.
Absolutely. Yeah, I did.
Here he is. We got to do it again. There he is, looking happy, holding a trophy. It looks a bit like Dino Yogi wanted to hold it, and you went, no. Who's got the champagne? Comrade getting soaked with it, and there was you armed and ready.
Yeah, that was a good moment.
Yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I will never, ever forget that moment.
That's great. That's great. And I know a lot of our pilots sort of treasure all the moments that they get through DCL as well. This course here in Vaduz, it is hard, more difficult than when you raced it 2 years ago, and that wasn't easy. Challenging one, very different to our last racetrack, which is in Turin, if you saw that. But before we show you it for tonight and introduce you to how qualifying has worked out and so on, here's a recap of what happened last time.
X-Blades made the first big move in Liechtenstein, seeing off title rivals Veloce Racing 3-1 in their quarter-final. The Koreans' deliberate strategy to take on the British team came to nothing. The wildcard entry, the McDonald's drone team, caused one of the biggest cheers, knocking out Quad Force 1. But the Swiss team couldn't match the pace of Apex in the semi-finals and finished 4th. Drone Sports from Russia had to settle for 3rd after losing to X-Blades. So the grand final was a repeat of Torino, Apex against X-Blades. And the defending world champions took their revenge in a dramatic contest.
Really important for us. I mean, it's good that we extended our championship lead against Apex, our closest rival. So yeah, to beat them, it's great. Very motivated. I think there was a bit of injustice in Turin, and I think we won it on absolute pace, and it was a well-deserved win.
After those scenes in Liechtenstein on day 1, yes, X-Blades get another top score, and Apex were right up there with them. There's been 3 finals between them now this season. It's 2-1 currently to Apex. Drone Sports of Russia came in 3rd onto the podium, and the drone team of the wildcard pilots recruited through the McDonald's Challenge did really well too. So those points go onto the World Championship board like this. X-Blades break the 1,000 barrier first. Apex with a little bit of work to do, 210 points behind them now. Drone Sports were 4th. They've swapped places with Veloce and the Americans of Quad Force 1. Not where they wanted to be. They were runners-up in 2018. Here's the hangar area in our pit lane, a relaxed-looking Chief from Quad Force 1, chatting with a relaxed-looking X-Blades. All the pilots, all the teams get on so well. Martijn, in the back of people's minds, some people are a bit more urgent than others.
Yeah, this is a place I'm all too familiar with. This is where all the teams prepare their drones, they charge their batteries, do quick repairs, change propellers. You can see some empty tents. Those are the teams that will fly first.
Yep, Veloce not in there, as they're going to be up in quarterfinal number 1. Apex, they're not racing just yet, so they're chilling out. I think they're in quarterfinal 4.
Yeah, there's a good rivalry going on between Apex and X-Blades.
And look at that. We've got Evan of Quad Force 1, we've got Pavel of Drone Sports, Dane of Apex, all just chilling out. Here's part of the Drone Sports global family from Russia. They're looking ready.
Yeah, if you ever have the chance to visit us live,
yes,
I really recommend you guys to check out the hangars where all the teams are.
As all these wonderful people have done here. And how does all this work? Well, you've met some of our pilots. Here's what they have to do.
8 teams with 4 pilots per team compete in all DCL races. 7 teams are permanent, battling for the World Championship. 1 wildcard team is selected for each event and competes for a single race win. Qualifying is a series of time trials on the simulator, DCL the game. The times set by each team decide the draw for the race. Run through the real track over 3 rounds: quarterfinals, semi-finals and the grand final. In each round, 2 teams go head-to-head over 5 runs. Runs 1 to 4 are called single heats, 1 pilot against another. The winner of each heat earns 1 point for their team. Heat 5 is known as the big heat, where all 8 team pilots fly, 4 against 4. The winners receive 1 point, with bonus points if pilots from the same team finish in consecutive positions in the top 4. The teams also score finisher points for completing heats and training rounds. These are important because they decide the winner of a heat if 2 teams are level on the same number of points. The team with the most points after 5 runs advances to the next round. Or if it's the final round, they win the Drone Grand Prix. The top 5 teams score points on a sliding scale from 250 to 80. Each location stages 2 races, so pilots can double up on maximum attack. And the team with the most points at the end of the season is crowned world champions.
As they race around the single heats and big heats of the Drone Champions League. It's a complex sport, of course, a 3-dimensional race course, unique to drone racing. So live on our stage, where our pilots will be sitting shortly, we have our chief judge, who is Lucas Baumann, keeping an eye on all of the action. He also has a team of spotters behind the scenes who watch all of the video that the pilots get live. They're all, of course, flying first-person view. They see what the drone sees in their goggles. We review it all with our spotter team and Lucas to make sure all the gates have been passed and everybody's within safety limits and things like that. Here is what our pilots have to adhere to keep Lucas and his team happy.
Flying clean and fast is the dream in the Drone Champions League, but always following the rules. Rule 1. Teams design and build their own drones. Some parts are standard, but there are strict limits on weight, power, battery life and LED performance. Pilots have to wait for the green light before taking off. Start too soon and it's a red card, disqualification from the heat. If a drone doesn't start because of a technical problem, the pilot can use a spare. If that fails, it's a red card. Each air gate has to be passed in the correct order and in the right direction. If pilots miss a gate, they have to go back and try again before moving on to the next one. Continuing after missing a gate is a red card offence. If they crash, the pilots decide themselves if their drone is fit to continue. If all pilots crash in the heat, the one who flew furthest takes the point. The winner of the heat is the first drone through the Red Bull finish gate. The pilots are ranked according to their finishing times. Teams can protest during a heat if they feel a rule's been broken or wasn't applied correctly. If the chief judge upholds the protest, the team will get a rerun. If the case is rejected, no more protests are allowed. Penalty cards will be issued if rules are broken. A yellow card is a warning. 2 yellows add up to red and disqualification. 2 reds add up to a blue when a pilot is expelled from the race weekend.
a lot for them to contend with, apologies, and a lot for us to do as well. Actually, it's quite difficult, this Champions League. Martijn, we've got this track. You know it well, but of course it is steeper in places, narrower in
It's
others.
true. Yeah, if you look at the track from 2 dimensions, so a top view, it's pretty much identical. But yeah, there's a lot more ups and overs now. So it's different, yeah.
Ups and overs, yes.
It
with the
actually, it's
hurdles.
more technical.
Yeah, it's hard, and our pilots had a good day on it in our first day racing at Drone Prix Liechtenstein. Let's take you around it, give you a bit of a clearer idea. You'll get to grips with it as we fly, but who better to talk us through than the chief?
One, yeah.
How's it going, everybody? I'm Alex Campbell. Most of you may know me as Chief, and today we're here at the 2019 Liechtenstein Drone Champions League track. It looks absolutely insane, and I'm going to show it to you today. Come on, let's go take a look. So here we are at our first obstacle, the DCL hurdles. This is kind of a crazy obstacle because after we launch, we're going to be staying low through the first one, and when we get to the second one, we're going to be powering all the way over the top of it to launch ourselves to the McDonald's split S-gate, which means we're gonna go over the top, do a half a roll, pull, and exiting the McDonald's gate on the bottom side. So after we leave our McDonald's split S-gate, we're gonna come back into the DCL hurdle section, except this time doing it vice versa, low to high, going the opposite direction to avoid mid-airs. So after we come out of the second set of hurdles, we're gonna make a hard left-hander around this tree here and make a big, powerful punch right up in between the buildings to gate 3, which is on top of a massive hill. We're going to be full throttle up to the Liechtenstein gate, hitting speeds of up to 120 kilometers an hour, coming back down the hill into a split S into the I-time gate, followed by a high-speed left-handed sweeper into a 180-degree turn to the backside of the Breitling gate, followed by a huge punch over the stage. Coming on to lap 2, we're going to do the exact same thing, except at the end of lap 2, we're going to come over the DCL stage for the last time into a high-speed dive into the Red Bull crash gate to complete our 2-lap race.
And if you race it round that and do well, you'll progress through our bracket, single elimination bracket, do or die all the way through. 4 single heats and a big heat every time. Quarterfinals will begin shortly with McDonald's drone team taking on the Koreans of Veloce, who crashed out in their quarterfinal plan yesterday, and they want to really progress today. X-Blades, 2-time reigning world champions, have got China Dragons after X-Blades came first and China Dragons came last in the racing yesterday. Drone Sports, TMM Raiden Racing, that's a rematch of a quarterfinal. And then Apex Racing, our current second place of the World Championship, they've got Americans Quad Force 1, and it really is time that those drones got those pilots to a final, or the season is going to be very disappointing for them if it isn't already. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Time for quarterfinal 1. Raphael Strahl with Pascal Luginbull, Michael Isla, and Serafin Strahl. Yes, they're brothers. Yes, that's the McDonald's drone team. I believe we've got Yannick Glauser, who's going to be joining us shortly on stage as well, who was one of the other pilots who tried to qualify and got into the top 8 through DCL the game, but didn't quite make it into the top 4 to race for the team. Yannick, it's so great to see you on stage supporting your guys. It's brilliant of you to be so sporting and helping them out. You were nearly 4th. You were 4th yesterday. You were nearly 3rd. Nearly on the podium. Missed out by 1 point. Are you fired up for Veloce?
Yeah, that's right. It was really close yesterday. And we hope we can rock today much better.
You've got a really aggressive opponent on the other side of the stage. Good luck, Yannick. Good luck, McDonald's drone team. And in the quarterfinals against them, it's the Koreans with Young Rock Sun, Min-Chan Kim, Min-Jae Kim, and Ethan Kling. Together, they are Veloce Racing. Their owner, HJ Sun, is on our stage. Oh, HJ, you threw this brilliant plan yesterday. It didn't work out. Is it going to be different today?
Yeah, so we have some special tune today. So my pilot have had a practice this morning, and they're now very confident. And we have some shit talk, you know, but he didn't it. But I'm doing now. You are nothing. Yeah, you know that, right? I will let go you home, man. Okay.
Okay, HJ.
You satisfied with that?
Thank you, HJ. Apologies, ladies and gentlemen. HJ's coming for you. His guys are ready. Okay, McDonald's, Drone Team and Veloce. So I mentioned their plan in the quarterfinals didn't work out. Let's explore that a little bit. They threw qualifying last week, the Koreans, to get into yesterday's racing in last place. Why would you do that? Because they wanted to race the team who were going to be first, who was X-Blades, and they guessed it and they were right. They wanted to stop X-Blades. They want to stop X-Blades scoring any more points this season, and then they want to go and get loads of them. Backfired. They went out in the quarterfinals. Veloce left with 80. X-Blades won the day with 250. Let's see what happens in single heat number 1, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for racing, and it's Michael Isler against Young Rock Sun. And we fly in the night sky for the Drone Prix Liechtenstein on day 2 with a good start from both of these pilots, both headed to the McDonald's gate. Only Michael Isler came back. Young Rock Sun might be about to suffer his first single heat loss of the season. He's 8 seconds behind. He seems to have made it through the McDonald's gate, but he is a comfortable distance, about at least a third, maybe even half a lap. That gap's slightly bigger now, still over 8 seconds between him and Michael Isler. It's just 2 laps in the green drone of the McDonald's drone teams. Isler is through again as he makes his way towards Parliament. Young Rock Sun is making his way. Oh yeah, a good half a lap behind him now. Isler diving through the Liechtenstein gate. Sun has closed it by a second, but it's still massive. Isler through I-time. It's looking a bit academic now. The Breitling gate won't be a problem for him. Over the stage, 2 laps done. We come to the Red Bull finish gate, and the first point of the day goes to Michael Isler. It's a warm appreciation here in Liechtenstein as they're winning on this Swiss team. Young Rock Sun is home, gets to finish a point for his team, but with that, he loses his undefeated record. Prior to that race, Young Rock Sun was 6 wins out of 6 single heat races. 6 out of 7, still pretty good.
We see some more trash talking going on the stage. This is the McDonald's gate. We saw some pilots struggle here, and Young Rock Sun also clipped the floor. But what's interesting to see is that nowadays they have turtle mode, is what it's called. So pilots are able to get their quad back upright again, if the propellers are still intact, that is. So he was able to continue his lap, but Michael Isler was too far ahead. I have to say the McDonald's drone team may be a wildcard team, but they are not to be underestimated.
Absolutely. Yeah, they turned up in lax. We had a McDonald's challenge there. Through our game, DCL the Game, which is launched on the 28th of January next year. But in early access for that, we've done qualifying, and our pilots qualify for all of our tracks on an exact model of the track in-game. So if you want to race on any of these tracks, you can do that from the 28th of January in DCL the Game. 1-0 to the McDonald's drone team. So next up, Min Jae Kim has a sharp intake of breath. The young 10-year-old pilot. Theo is going up against Serafin. Serafin Strahl on the other side. And they launch Kim with a better start, and away he goes. Would love to see him make it all the way through this race, but he's down already. He has had a torrid time of it. He's got his drone the right way up. I think he'll probably get that off the ground again. But Serafin Strahl is a comfortable distance ahead, although very close to the bottom of the exit of the Liechtenstein gates. And he had trouble flying around this yesterday as well. So, by no means a comfortable course for either of these pilots. Min Jae Kim not going to give up. Serafin Strahl has got a decent lead, and his teammates can let him know how much. He's at one end of the straight as Min Jae Kim starts it from the other, and has gained loads of time on him. Just 1.15 seconds, and Kim has passed him. Incredible speed. We did notice yesterday that Strahl is a little bit cautious. Min Jae Kim, this 10-year-old, he's had a lot of crashes, but he's still full of bravado. Look at him go through the I-time gate. Serafin Strahl is not there yet, and as he passes one side of the building, Kim has already finished the other. Min Jae Kim is home. Congratulations to him. That's his first win of the season. Serafin Strahl comes in as well, but 5.5 seconds behind him. Kim was a long way behind and caught him out of nowhere. Look at him. Gave that absolutely everything. And I think the emotion is going to set in. I think we can understand. Young pilot, so much pressure on him on this stage. He did it for his boys.
Right, he crashed first. Both pilots were struggling at the McDonald's gate. But incredible skill on Min Jae's behalf. Pushing it. This is where we see him overtake Serafin again. there was no stopping in Min Jae. Super, super impressive.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you can be proud
Not trying
of
to
that.
be biased, obviously, but I got to say, a 10-year-old pilot on our stage picking up his first win of the season.
Right.
I defy you not to be pleased for him. Unless, of
I'm
course,
happy
you're
for him.
racing in green and you like McDonald's. 1-1 then. And that's been a while coming for him now. Min Jae Kim, he'd had 3 single heats so far this season, and he'd crashed in 2 of them. Now he's got this win. Now we've unleashed him. What comes next? Well, Pascal Luginbull in his first appearances for the DCL after his races yesterday. Ethan Kling in his first appearance as well, American pilot who's joined Veloce Racing earlier on in February when we did DCL The Draft, and we drafted pilots through a video game challenge, taking gamers and turning them into real pilots. Ethan Kling,
10
established drone
seconds
racer in his
countdown.
own right and a great sim pilot, made it and got picked for Veloce. Greenwood and McDonald's is away, but Kling is a 1/10 of a second ahead of him, and the McDonald's gate is clean for both of them. That's good. As were the hurdles before it. You go under one and over another before you reach that McDonald's gate, and people crashed into that quite a lot yesterday. Now Kling has taken the lead from Luginbull, but I think you'll see Luginbull, Pascal, he's got a lot of speed, particularly on this last third of the course. We saw him pass a teammate yesterday. We've seen them coming together on the Breitling gate. Luginbull's in the netting and Kling is down and his picture is out. So neither of them are going to continue after that mid-air, which means it's time for measuring as we try and work out who managed to make it furthest around the course. You see Luginbull, and I think Kling is just hiding behind the Breitling gate.
Yeah, the level between these pilots, I saw it in training already, is just so close together. And they had pretty much identical racing line coming into the Breitling gate, which ended up with a mid-air collision. So the drones hit each other. They crashed, and what happens now is that the judges go onto the track to measure which drone made it the furthest.
Yeah, that's who's going to get the heat point, whichever one made it round. It doesn't matter who hit who, it's just mid-air. That's
Right.
just drone racing.
It's unintentional. Nobody wants a race to end like this.
Typically, if you're the one underneath your opponent, you tend to come off worse as you tend to damage your props from the collision. We saw that yesterday. We saw some drones continue. The ones underneath come off worse. I guess at the moment, we might be thinking that Ethan Kling might be slightly further based on where Luginbull was in that side netting and the fact that we can't see Kling, so he's kind of slightly ahead of that Breitling gate. But somebody's going to get some measuring done. We've got our field marshals on the left of picture trying to work it out. And whoever's got furthest will get the point. Pascal showing us some of the speed he had, though. Ethan Kling's been a little bit slower than some of our pilots, and, you know, first time racing in the DCL, not entirely surprising. It's looking like applause for the purple side. HJ looks happy. We'll perhaps keep him away from the microphone for a short while, but he looks happy, and there's a 2 on the board for Veloce. We'll get it confirmed on stage with Chief Judge Lucas Baumann.
Both drones crashed. Pilot 6 got further along the racing line and takes the win.
That is Ethan Kling. There can't have been very much in that at all. He doesn't look too pleased. I can understand why. He doesn't want to crash and get the win. Here it is again as they come for this mid-air. Kling goes in a lot steeper. Yes, the Kling ends up actually behind the vertical side of the Breitling gate. That's why we couldn't see it. And just coming in on picture, it all goes pink and green.
Yeah, Kling did make that corner a lot better. He was further on the inside. He had more speed coming out of it. Again, it is just pure unlucky. You know, no one wants to win a race with a mid-air. But I think he deserved it. You know, he made the better corner.
That is Min Jae Kim, known as MCK across the world. Raphael Strahl is up against him for the McDonald's drone team. He's more than capable of getting some wins. He has 5 out of 6, and he's not even one of our 7 team's pilots. He's here with wildcards again. 5 wins out of 6, having only raced in Lax and here in Vaduz. And he's behind Kim at the present, but we'll make our way towards the Liechtenstein gate, which Kim got to grips with very quickly yesterday. Had a bit of an incident in his first race, and then after that was pretty deadly, as you'd expect from what many people think is the best in the world. Min-Chan Kim onto lap number 2. Rafael Stroll not too far behind him. We go under the first hurdle and over the second to the McDonald's gate. Sharp and clean. And time of 26.13. Rafael over 1.5 behind him now, and Kim is pulling further away to hold time as Stroll has crashed. MCK will go to I-time, drop through that in a really tight, very vertical split. Stroll is back into the air, which you'll be glad about. Finisher points might be what they're going to be relying on here. In goes MCK. Over the top of him, still to complete the rest of this lap, is Stroll. There's a view of the government building under that hurdle through Breitling. This is the view of the stage that he's flying with. Looks a bit difficult, but he's more than capable to nail it into the center of the gates. Pleased to be home. That Stroll sort of reaction we've seen many times, very tense beforehand, and then big smile when he's completed a race. But it is 3-1.
Yeah, Min-Chan Kim, in yesterday's race, he was a bit unlucky in a single heat, but this man has all the talent in the world. As you just mentioned, he's definitely one of the best, maybe even the best pilot in the world. And he had a good strategy here. He launched full speed, took a bit of a lead, and then, as you can see, slowed down a little bit, didn't take that much risk, but he just knows that he's the faster and the better pilot. So he was able to secure the victory here with confidence.
And of course his teammates can tell him on stage, oh, you're this far ahead, or you can hold it back a little bit, you don't need to go panicking, or he's coming, right. Move it.
Yeah, there's a lot of communication going on usually.
So that goes in the books for MCK. That makes him 4 wins out of 5 this season. And Veloce goes 3-1 up. So if this is your first time with us on the DCL, it's time for the big heat. Unique to us, where all 8 drones will fly at the same time, 4 versus 4. Come in first, you get 1 point. Come in first and second for 2. First, second, and third consecutively gets you 3. And if you come in all the top 4 positions, you'll get 5 points. So it's not over for the McDonald's drone team. They need, at a minimum, first and second, and then finisher points will come into play if we're tied on heat points. So what they really want to do, first, second, and third, and run off with this now. As you can see, at present, those little number 11s on screen, that's finisher points. They're tied on it. So, as the McDonald's drone team come in first and second, they'll get at least 2 more. And if 2 Veloce pilots come in, they'll get finisher points. And numbers and maths. Let's just expect some good racing, and then we'll figure it all out afterwards. We know, at minimum, McDonald's have to come in first and second to tie it on heat points. So the green drones on our starting block, the purple ones of the confident Koreans. And a great audience joining us here. We're so pleased to be back in the home country of the DCL. It's based here in Liechtenstein, and it's awesome to see so many people come out and join us for what we believe is the biggest international event that's ever happened in the 6th smallest country in the world. So many international pilots, so many countries being represented here. So you can see our starting blocks there. Green for the McDonald's drone team, purple for Veloce. Bit of flickering LEDs going on. That's Ethan Kling's position. And he's just checking in. HJ's just checking in with Min-Jae right now. And showing on our stage the video picture that Min-Jae's got.
Yeah, from what I see here, it looks absolutely perfect.
You have an interesting definition of perfect.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
what's that crawling going on? That's quite unusual.
A bit, yeah, a bit of color noise.
Sort of the highlight noise, yeah.
Yeah.
It's better than most of the other pilots, I can tell you that. Particularly Michael Islers, who is looking a bit rough. Min-Jae is not getting any better.
No, I see that, but he can see the track quite clearly. This is definitely flyable.
That is what he'll use. That's it. All these drones, they have the cameras that are feeding those video pictures live to the FTVs that the pilots are wearing. They also all have HD cameras on board for our TV programs that we make about our racing too. So if you ever catch any of them, you'll realize that the pictures on those are a little bit clearer. But we love to show you what the pilots can do with what they can see. Out of the blocks and a lot of clattering off at the start and some splintering of drones, but some purple action at the front. It looks like it's Kim, and Ethan Kling who are racing on up there, and Rafael Stroll is in the mix. He needs some teammates to help him out though. They've got to come first and second. So it's the Stroll brothers flying for the McDonald's drone team as Min-Chan Kim, MCK, completes his first lap and heads to the McDonald's gate. He has got this course figured out. Min-Jae Kim still flying around after all the speed we saw with him later on. Let's see if we can catch him. Stroll is up into third. He needs to move. Serpent Stroll, though, is 7.5 seconds behind the leaders. Big gap between him and his brother, who's moved down into fourth. Here's MCK getting lost at the stage. And Min Jae Kim, young 10-year-old, gets another win for his season. Ethan Kling will get second. And Raphael Stroll will come in, and his brother makes it as well. Another win for Min Jae Kim. What happened to MCK, Martin, when we got to the stage? That was the last part of the course.
Yeah, the Kims are killing it, aren't they? Minchen was leading, but he had some kind of technical issue with his drone. Aggressive launch by Michael Isler here. Yeah, sadly his quad bottomed out and hit the floor. I think his battery disconnected after that. This is where we see Minchen Kim making some beautiful corners here, going over the stage, losing connection with the drone. Just fell out of the sky, but he has some good teammates, to say the least. And Min Jae Kim was able to secure the victory. This little kid, 10 years old, is flying amazing. If they keep flying like this, I think we have a contender here to take home the title today. Yes, here are the official results. McDonald's drone team 2 points, Veloce Racing 4 points. They were equal on finisher points, but that doesn't matter anymore. Veloce Racing making it through to the semi-finals.
The Koreans are through to the semi-finals, led by Min Jae Kim, this young 10-year-old superstar who won the single heat and the big heat. How are you feeling?
느낌이 어때?
이겨서? 아, 나 너무 떨리고 지금 가슴이 터질 것 같아.
He said he feels very nervous and his heart is gonna break. Yeah.
We could see you were so excited. You finally got the win. It's incredible, Pilot here. Young Rock Sun, you're into the semi-finals.
Yeah, I'm so happy about that, and Min Jae doing a lot of things in this race. Thank you for Min Jae.
Congratulations, Min Jae. Congratulations, Veloce.
Amazing work by the young pilot. In the meantime, I got an update from our judges, and in single heat 4, Minchen Kim was, I'm not sure if it was single heat 4, but Minchen Kim was disqualified because he was over the power limit. Nowadays it's the drones have a power monitor on it, and they are not allowed to output more than, I believe it's 1800 watts or something. This all gets checked and logged, and it seemed like Minchen was over the power limit. So he was disqualified, but still that is enough for them to make it through to the semi-finals. So the disqualification takes off 1 point, which makes it 3-2 for Veloce Racing. Well done by them.
Great support there, and as you can see from our pictures, you can get to the pit lane. If you come to any of our DCR races, you can get to where the hangars are, and I think there's a lot of young fans here who are going to go over and talk to an incredible 10-year-old. But how did you do it? Can I do it as well? Veloce go to the semi-finals. We will look at quarterfinal number 2, X-Blades and China Dragons. 1st and 8th after yesterday's results. So let's meet the pilots in quarterfinal 2. It's Brett Collis, Gary Kent, Luke Bannister, and completing the lineup, Killian Rousseau, who won it for them yesterday. They are X-Blades Racing. And there's the Dragonfly. That's their drone, the XPR-3 on stage. We have Dominic Rook, who is looking after his team. Dominic, welcome back. So you've won this race yesterday. Now you've got the China Dragons opposite you. What are you going to do about them?
Well, we're going to do our best to proceed to the next stage, as usual, and we really give our best.
Are you worried about the opposition you've got? Any words you want to say to them?
Good luck, boys.
Oh, he's nice, isn't he? He's being nice. Let's meet the boys he's wished good luck to. Dennis Hockman, Yannick Henschel, Ka-Kei Leung, and Ronnie Chow. Together, the China Dragons. Ah, it looks good in orange, and it's got stripes. I don't think the stripes were there yesterday, Martin. I think we've got some Go Faster stripes. My dad always told me Go Faster stripes help. Manuel on our stage. Manuel Bouillard, welcome back. Everybody wants you to win. Everybody. The other teams want to see you knock out X-Blades now.
Thanks, Matt, for this. Yeah, we had an awesome day today, so we gotta have a lot of practice, and we're gonna make it a lot better, like yesterday. And we try to give them a really stressful race and some nice heats where we can show our skill. And yeah, let's get it on.
Let's get it on. Thank you, Manuel and the China Dragons. Ooh, they're going to pile the stress onto the two-time world champions. That's not easy to do, is it, Martin?
No, you know, X-Blades has gone through it all, I'd say. So I'm curious to see what the strategy is going to be exactly. Maybe it involves very aggressive launches.
Ooh. Well, that might affect some of their pilots, but, you know, Brett, for example, of X-Blades, he doesn't care. He always lets you go first. Let's see. Gary Kent will go first for X-Blades Racing, and Ka-Kei Leung, who picked up a win yesterday in his first time. We've seen him in 2019. Let's see what he's got. He's got basically an even launch with Gary Kent. Here we go then. Light blue, X-Blades clattering together with the orange of China Dragons. And they both come down. Oh, now that is looking very close. Ah, that looks like Ka-Kei Leung has moved ever so slightly forward. That tiny movement is going to... Don't go backwards, Ka-Kei. If he goes backwards, he'll give a point to Gary Kent. And if he stays where he is, he's technically... I think, further along the race line. Gary's closer to it, but in terms of length along it, I think that's Ka-Kei's. And if that drone had flipped, they were basically neck and neck, basically even. Yeah. And in trying to turtle it off the ground, I believe Ka-Kei Leung has got a point for his team by about 3 cobblestones.
That's a couple of centimeters.
Two cobblestones? What do you reckon? It's going to be a point for China Dragons. I'm sure of it. I'm sure Ka-Kei Leung's going to get that. That makes it 2 wins out of 2. He won't be happy with either of them. Oh, he will be happy with yesterday's. Yesterday was a massive race.
It is really unfortunate because Gary Kent here had the better corner. He exited the corner faster.
He's hit the building, hasn't he?
He's hit the building.
And then look at that. They are just having a little moment
right
together.
next to each other. But Ka-Kei Leung was still able to maneuver his drone. He was... the idea behind that was obviously not to maneuver his drone further down the track, but to get it upright again and potentially back up in the air.
Well, you saw the first flip went forwards, the second flip normally put him back where he started, and indeed behind where he was. There's that little roll, but it nearly goes wrong for him because he went backwards from there. It's going to be a point to China Dragons. Yes, Ka-Kei Leung, that one's yours. He fought and fought in a single heat yesterday. Absolutely thrilling. He's got it here. It was Timothy Trowbridge that he beat from Apex Racing yesterday. And here he's beating Gary Kent.
10 seconds countdown.
Second race, Ronnie Chow for China Dragons. The French Kylian Rousseau is his opponent for the X-Blades. And Rousseau with pretty even start in timing, but a lot more speed immediately afterwards, and he's got Chow already 9/10 of a second behind him. The X-Blades drones, that Dragonfly I mentioned, showing you what speed it's got. It's such a deadly performer, and so is Kylian Rousseau, who hadn't picked up a lot of finishes this season until yesterday when he brought his team into the grand final and won the big heat and won the day for him. So he is brimming with confidence and he's just 14 years old. Kilian Rousseau, Dark X is away here. This is a clear, beautiful, clean single heat for Kilian Rousseau. He's going to put this one in the books. A great, great run by him. Ronnie Chow really not in the picture at any time, but he's home 4.13 behind. Finisher point for him. Not the heat point he would like to have followed up with. Beautiful lines from Kilian.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. He's new, relatively new to the X-Blades team, but not new to the community. Very, very talented and great pilot. What we see here is that the launch is really decisive. You know, the launch is where we start, and we have a very narrow part right before the McDonald's gate. And if you are able to make it through that in a clean line and build up that base speed, it's going to be very, very hard to catch a pilot who doesn't make any mistakes.
Congratulations, Kilian. Another win for him. I say he's had some sort of difficult seasons. It's mainly been in big heats, to be fair. I must give him justice. That is 7 wins out of 9 single heats for Kilian Rousseau now. That's absolutely tremendous. And he first joined us in Turin. He didn't even race in Lax earlier on in the season. Let's go with Luke Bannister and Yannick Henschel for single heat number 3. Countdown. It's 1-1 in the heat points. Bannister and Henschel next. And Henschel's left him behind, but it doesn't take Bannister long to pass him, in fact. Before the McDonald's gate, he's got him and he's away. He's put the fire in Bannister's belly there. Through Liechtenstein, nice diagonal runs from both of those. Not anywhere like a straight vertical split S, but a bigger run at there, and similar for Eitine, a little bit steeper. Out of that towards Breitling, not an issue, and will come over the stage. Bannister starts lap number 2. Henschel not far behind, and these hurdles under the first, over the second, and on the way back under and over. Not causing a problem for anyone today. We had a lot of people hit that straight out of the blocks yesterday. So far, so clean for both of these pilots. Henschel 1.3 seconds behind. Bannister coming out of Einstein. Good run towards Breitling. Henschel still with him, and he's closed the gap slightly. Bannister's dropped it in good. And Henschel ends up 1.2 behind him at the end. I think he may have reserved a little bit as they were coming up over the stage as he realised he was unlikely to catch Bannister, and if Bannister crashed at the end, Henschel wanted to make sure he didn't. 2-1 for X-Blades. Good close contest between them. As always, day 2, our pilots know the course so much better. It's really showing.
Yeah, it wasn't too far apart. Bannister is just, he's such a good pilot. He's super flowy in his style. I was looking at both of their feet side by side, and Luke Bannister's feet just looked a lot slower, but in fact he was 1 second a lap faster. So it's quite a difference.
The history between these two teams, well, they've met twice. It was each day of our drone prees in Turin, and both times X-Blades knocked out China Dragons. Once 4-1, once 5-1. China Dragons capable of getting points and then can do it in big heats. But we've got another single heat before we get there, and single heat number 4 will race off that man, Brett Collis. And on the other side of the stage, Dennis Hockman.
10 seconds countdown.
Launch. Unusually, Collis is first. He does, as I mentioned earlier, tend to let his opponent launch first and then pass him. Doesn't like any chance of sort of a crash and mid-air out of the blocks. And when you are the fastest for each team in qualifying, as these two pilots were, it means you start on the starting blocks at the back of the grid, and they're the ones that are closest to each other as well. But Brett had a better start, and he's been in the lead all the way through lap number 1 and on to lap number 2. He flies. Again, the hurdles causing no issue. Up 1 over the second. And round Parliament he goes towards the Liechtenstein gate. Here's his route of that. That's nice. This is good stuff. Hockman now with a lot to do. He's almost 2 seconds behind Brett. That gap has gradually extended throughout. Brett's Breitling gate is beautiful over the stage. High, plenty of clearance, and it's great finishes. We're seeing them again and again. Hockman, on the other hand, actually, I think, clipped a side net, managed to keep flying. He's into the finish gate. But an awkward run in there. These pilots are showing us how to race in Vaduz.
Absolutely. Great skill. Great skill by Brett Collis. He just had one of the cleanest lines I've seen all day.
Yeah, we are enjoying this. I'm sure you are as well, wherever you're joining us, whether here in Vaduz or YouTube or Facebook or on any of our TV stations around the world.
Yeah,
pilots are showing you why they're here. They're the best.
Brett Collis here, buzzing around the tree. Full send is what the pilots call it. But this corner right here is one of the tightest I've seen. Absolutely top-notch stuff by Brett Collis. How can you catch a pilot like that? Yeah. I certainly can't.
Matthew Evans reckons whenever Brett flies, he changes the speed of the Earth's rotation. I like that. So far, so clean. Yes, you're absolutely right. Diana FPV, Leo FPV, everybody who's joining us. Great to see you all. Thanks, everybody, for joining us, and all the racers as well. And Benjamin Blackburn's back with us again. Christian, welcome to you, joining us here on Facebook. Norbert, of course, we know you so well from previous seasons. He's always with us. Dwayne, cheering on all of these incredible pilots. Good to have you all with us. Thank you, everyone, for joining us around the world. Yourselves, Marcel Gregor, everybody who's watching, Elion and the family too.
10 seconds
Elion's
countdown.
brilliant X-Blades fan. Of course, they have many around the world, but Elion will be cheering them on at home. Hello to you. Hello to everybody. X-Blades now. Big heat time. China Dragons need first and second here. One of them wildly swinging out of control, but two of them are up in this fight, and one of them's gone to the front, but he's clipped the wires around the Parliament building, and a metallic clang ends his hopes in the big heat. Hockman's down, Henschel's down. The front of this is Rousseau and Collis, but Ronnie Chow is amongst it all too. The main hope right now for China Dragons. Out through McDonald's, 1, 2, 3. They're still in this. Chow is 88 hundredths of a second behind where he needs to be. Carl K. Leung is flying, but he's only just reaching the McDonald's gate now. 7.5 seconds out of the picture. As he goes round the tree, everybody else is a long way past that part of the course. Rousseau and Collis go over the stage. Chow would love to catch them here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent finishing. 4 pilots almost within 1.5 seconds of each other. Rousseau gets another win here in Vaduz in a big heat. Collis is there. Good finish by Chow, but not where he needed to be. And that is pretty much clear for everybody to see as Manuel comes over, talking to his pilots and encouraging them, particularly Ronnie there, who did so well in that big heat.
Oh, look at all these drones going to the tightest part of the track. Mid-air here by Luke Bannister. Did manage to recover it. Such a skilled pilot. And here's the onboard footage from Brett Collis. He has Killian in front of him. He had him in front of him the entire race. They didn't take the risk to overtake each other. Absolutely beautiful racing here. Yeah, the feeling that the pilots have right now is like you were in a Star Wars pod racer, you know? It's absolutely wonderful. That was a tight finish. Yeah, Ronnie Chow was not too far behind them. Happy Killian. There we have it. Official results of the second quarterfinal is X-Blades 5 points to China Dragons with 1 point. X-Blades is our second semi-finalist.
Gary Kent, let's have a chat with you. I seem to be working my way through all of your team this weekend as you keep making it into next rounds.
Yeah, I know. We're doing pretty well at the moment. So, yeah, on to the next round for us.
Couple of difficult runs for yourself, few sort of awkward crashes. Talk us through your single heat.
Yeah, I'm on the bad side of the grid, so I have to pull across to the left. So my opponent got in front of me, and then as I went to overtake him through the McDonald's gate, hit the back of him, and it was lights out. And then another collision in the big heat. So yeah, it wasn't my race this one. So hopefully in the next one.
You're welcoming to be back here, though. It was fun in 2017. Is it nice racing on a course with a few changes, but nice racing on a course where you've been before?
Yeah, it's lovely to race here. I mean, the Liechtenstein crowd is awesome. You know, they came out in force last year and they're here again. So yeah, it's great.
Well, we're going to see more of you. We're going to see more of Gary. We're going to see more of X-Blades. Can they get 2 wins back to back? So far, so good. Well done, Gary. Well, if quarterfinal 3 and quarterfinal 4 can be anywhere near as exciting as quarterfinals 1 and 2, hold on tight.
The driving baseline.
X-Blades 5-1 over China Dragons, but really thrilling races amongst all of that. Next up, we got a rematch from yesterday. In one of our quarterfinals, we raced off Drone Sports against TMM Raiden Racing. Let's do that again. Pressure is, Drone Sports won that one. Raiden are never in a semi-final so far this year. Is today the day? The Russians have Thomas Petersons, Konstantin Kosolopov, Platon Maximov, and Pavel Leshak. They together are Drone Sports. And these brilliant 4 pilots came in with such enthusiasm and such brilliance, and were a little bit unknown. A couple of the other pilots were like, we don't really know what to expect from these guys. Turned up, did some great races, and made it all the way to a final when they were on day 2 of our season in Lax. And since then, they've been always in the semi-finals, but never any further than that. Let's see what happens today as they rematch with Raiden. Ben Mortensen, Axel Mario, Christopher Lenkong, Tomohiko Koyama, and together, Yasuyuki Harima rounds out DMM Raiden Racing. We'll meet Yu Katera on stage. Yu, is it today? Is it semi-finals for you at last today?
Yeah, we are flying against Drone Sports rules here. Yesterday we lose, but tonight we will win. Thank you.
He's coming for you. Russia against Japan in the quarterfinals. Thanks, guys. All right. Can it happen? A handshake, some respect between these two teams, but also so much like, ooh, Drone Sports need to get through and get some more points to have any hope of the season ending with a good finish for them. DMM Raiden Racing just want to get points on the board. They're the only team of 7 who haven't got any. The wildcard team has more points than they do.
Yeah,
all right.
I hope this is their moment.
Yeah. I can't wait to see the celebrations if they make a semi-final. But Drone Sports are a massive challenge for him. Here we go then with Platon Maximov and Yasuyuki Harima in single heat number 1. And these pilots raced together yesterday.
Here we see one of our runners reprogramming the video transmitter of the drone and also doing a power cycle. Seems like there were some issues with the video, but it seems good now, as I can see on my screen.
So, of course, all of these races are actually identical rematches of yesterday because the 4 pilots,
10 seconds
we
countdown.
rank them, we race them in order of their qualifying times from DCL The Game last week. And today they're racing in the same respective order for their teams. They might have different opponents. Here, Drone Sports against Raiden, all of these are rematches of yesterday. Maximov and Harima. It was a win for Maximov after Harima crashed out, and I think as the red Russian drone lights up the night sky, we're not seeing a lot of the yellow of Raiden again. Harima is down. Parks it right next to one of our runners on course who's not going to have to go very far. He's barely going to have to get out of his chair in order to pick that one up. Maximov's got this, as you see. Really early exit for Harima again. He's having a rough season. You can see it. To the end of the straight, out of the start blocks, and nothing more than that.
Yeah, he's not happy. But he doesn't have to be ashamed. There are a lot of people struggling with that technical McDonald's gate. It's just so tight, you know, you don't have that much time to turn your quad around. And then also you have to choose and maybe even make a last-minute decision whether you go left or right, which can end up right in the middle. Yeah, here you see him, he was steering to the right and he thought, no, I cannot make it, I have to go to the left, but it was too late.
So in the 4 single heats that these teams raced in yesterday's quarterfinals, DMM Raiden Racing lost all of them. 2 of their pilots didn't finish, and the 2 that did were behind. Harima didn't finish yesterday, and he's already crashed out here. This guy, Tomohiko Koyama, he didn't finish yesterday either and lost to Kosolopov then. So, is today the day that DMM Raiden Racing finally score for the season?
10 seconds
That's what
countdown.
Koyama's flying with. And truthfully, Kosolopov's, if anything, is slightly worse. Launch is clean for both of them, although nearly together immediately afterwards. That was close, and that's close as well. Kosolopov's still flying, so is Koyama. He saw 0.08 of a second between them as they exited through the McDonald's gates. And now Kosolopov, and I told you his view wasn't good. That's what he's flying with. There's a lot of colour in it. But can he make his way around? Well, yeah, he's more than capable to do so. Koyama, though, he's made it through the I-time gate, but he's left some ground between him and Kosolopov as he was very hesitant on the exit of it, lining up to make sure he got there. Koyama goes under and over the hurdles as Kosolopov completes the straight turn at the end and is making his way around. He's 2.2 seconds ahead of Koyama now. Kosolopov through the Liechtenstein gate. Koyama is coming through it. He's gaining on him. Look, he's caught him to 1.5 seconds now. He's caught him by 0.7. Oh, but he's so high over the I-time gate. That brilliant catch-up that he did. It's cost out a bit here. Kosolopov needs to make the end, and he hasn't. And Koyama is not in either. Koyama's got to find it, and he does, as Kosolopov has lost video and is down on the ground. Tomohiko Koyama, I think, has just picked up his first win of 2019.
I'm sure he did.
He's definitely in the finish gate, and Kosolopov can see nothing from his camera. It's there, and I don't think it went in before it hit the ground. We'll find out. But yes, this is a look of a happy man with some relief on his face. Arigato, Koyama. I think he's finally given us a point.
It was some really good racing up till that very last unfortunate crash on the side or on the bottom of the crash gate.
And Koyama hits the top
also
of it.
hit it, but he
You can
was
see, yeah, the battery's gone, isn't it?
Yeah, the battery disconnected on the Russians' behalf.
Yeah, that's
there
done.
you see it. Yeah.
And Koyama.
He also clipped the Red Bull crash gate. I have to say that very last corner, going over the stage and then into the Red Bull crash gate, is not as easy as it seems.
No, it's a big
dive. You come
dive.
down with a lot of speed.
Yeah. You have to take a lot of speed to get over the stage, and then
Exactly.
you got to dive so steeply. And
Yeah, the best way to do it is to go on the left side of the stage, so you have a little bit more time and a longer route towards that crash gate.
like I said, never say die. He was in that race. He was lagging behind. He closed the gap a bit. He left the gap a little bit. It was definitely Kosolopov's to win. Oh.
10 seconds countdown.
Well, it's 1-1. Let's see what Thomas Petersens can do. And Ben Mortensen is even fired up more than usual. Petersens 0.04 of a second ahead of Mortensen, but down at the McDonald's gate and away goes Ben. He'll fly around the tree and Petersens is back up into the air. So Mortensen doesn't have the race all to himself, but there is a big gap between him and Petersens. It's a number of seconds, 3 of them, and a bit more. Ben will go around the government building through Breitling, and as he goes over the stage, he might catch Petersens, who is making his way to the other side of the Breitling gate now. One comes down the straight one way, one comes down the straight the other way. 3.22 and Petersens is done. Ben's got this one. Raiden have a second as Petersen is blacked out. Ben continues, not only going to get the heat point, looks like he's going to get a finisher point as well. He's taking a second run at the finish, as he can do. He's the only one flying. In a time of 49.32, 49.32 puts Ben And Raiden into the lead. Good for him. He's been performing really hard, but the wins haven't been coming his way.
This is Petersens making a very, very tight corner around the McDonald's gate, and here clipping one of the luckily inflatable DCL pylons.
I'm just checking. I think it is still standing as well. I wasn't sure if it would. Looked a bit indecisive, Martin. Would you say it looked a little bit right, left? You have to go left.
He made the mistake way before the crash. You know, he should have made a little bit wider of a split S corner around the McDonald's gate so that he could properly steer his drone afterwards. Now he had to do all sorts of corrections in a place where there's not really room to do any corrections.
So Raiden are in the lead.
10 seconds countdown.
Need to keep this working, and the next pilots try and do so for them. Pavel Leshak for Russia, Axel Mary. Christopher Lenkong is in DMM Raiden Racing's yellow. And that's his view, out of the blocks. He was twice as slow as Leshak getting out of them, but that's not a lot when we're talking about 16 and 33 hundredths of a second. Leshak leads then towards the Liechtenstein gates, which Lenkong could have dropped in quickly and tightly, but he would have dropped a lot of speed in doing so. So far, so good. This is more of an approach for the Iton gate that I'd expect out of the young Indonesian pilot. Onto lap number 2 we go, and it's pretty much neck and neck here. Down the straight, great speed from Lenkong, but he's on the floor. Leshak continues. Lenkong's lost his picture. That is going to be over for Lenkong. Goggles up, disappointment for him. An incredible season in 2018. Not been quite as good for him in 2019. Still plenty of time, but not in this race. Leshak makes sure he makes his way to the end. The heat point's guaranteed to be his, but he wants to secure the finishing point as well in case it's important later on. Right now, he takes his team 2-all with DMM Raiden Racing, and that lead for Raiden has gone. And that slightly more aggressive position and dominant position into the big heat is gone as well. It's all square.
Axel Lenkong, great pilot, as is Leshak actually. So these two pilots knew they just had to give it their all. This is where we see beautiful chase footage and Lenkong making a ballsy push down here over the stage. He wanted to cut the McDonald's corner really short, but it was in fact too short. So he ended up on top of the McDonald's gate, which took him out.
Lenkong down.
Lenkong did know that he had to take some kind of risk to overtake Leshak.
It was a good start. And he's capable of taking a lot of time in, you know, catching up, taking out a lot of a gap in corners.
Absolutely.
I was expecting some really aggressive kind of split S's from him. Okay, 2-all. Winner takes all then here. Never mind about bonus points for second, third, fourth, and any of that jazz. We'll just go winner to semi-finals. Is it Raiden? Let us know who you think it's going to be. YouTube and Facebook and everybody here in Vaduz. Is it Raiden's day? Or
10 seconds countdown.
Deadly serious and deadly fast pilots of drone sports gonna knock him out now? Good clean launch, a little bit slow for one of the DMM Raiden Racing drones, and a bit of a clatter and a crash for another one. It's Petersens up front, and Lenkong has passed him. This is it. The race for the semi-finals has Lenkong in the lead. Petersens right behind him, and looming behind that, but with over 2 seconds, Kosolopov, Leshak, and Maximov, all for drone sports. It's all on Lenkong's shoulders here. Koyama, he's got that point earlier on, but he is a long way behind here. But you know what? Lenkong is a pretty long way out in front. It's nearly 2 seconds between Lenkong and any of the Russian pilots. Pavel Leshak is going to lead the charge. Maybe Lenkong saw him coming there as he was already on his way back. Iton is going to be clean for him. Leshak is gaining some ground, but he's still got too much to do. Lenkong over the stage, dropping it down slowly. Don't take too long about it because you'll get beaten at the end. And that is heartbreaking for Lenkong, because I am sure Leshak has beaten him on the dive. Lenkong had it. Lenkong was being cautious at the end. He's got a big smile on his face on stage. And there's a great bit of respect between those two pilots for that finish. But I think, after being so close, Raiden Racing won't be in the semis after all, because I reckon Leshak has beaten him at the death.
Yeah, this is where we see Lenkong ending up way too high before the crash gate, and Lashak, in fact, overtaking him in the very, very last second. That hurts. You can't even call it a second. This is hundredths of a second. He took all the risk here. All the risk, but he knew he had to do it. Yeah, just a great job. I know how, unfortunately, I know how Axel feels. I've had this happen to me once in a DCL race in Romania. There you have it. Final results, Drone Sports 2 against Raiden Racing. Excuse me, Drone Sports 3 against Raiden Racing 2. Drone Sports Russia making it through to the semi-finals.
Incredible quarter-final. We get them again and again. Another one here in Vaduz. Only just semi-finalists, thanks to that incredible dive by Pavel Lashak at the end, just stealing it away from Lenkong. Talk us through that race.
At the beginning of the race, I had a middle at the McDonald's gate, so I knew I had to push really hard. I heard one of my teammates was crashed right after the McDonald's gate, so I knew it was all on my shoulders. I just went as fast as I possibly could, and I got it in the end because Axel just came to slow down at the end. So I got it. I'm super happy, super pumped for Drone Sports Global in the semifinals again.
You can't stand still, and I love that. He's so excited about it. So we saw you in a final a long time ago this season. Since then, it's always been semifinals. What gets you to the big final today?
I hope I can continue on pushing myself and continue on keeping this pace. I hope for a good semifinal with my bros from Quad Force One, and I hope we can just all send it.
He's hoping the Americans will join them. We'll find out next. Pavel and his team are in the semis.
Man, that last quarter from Pavel. You can just see how focused he is and see how badly he wanted that that victory. His teammates still can't believe it here. Absolutely wonderful.
Wow!
That was amazing.
Never say die. And if you're in the lead and some of your teammates are out, tell him not to hang around because you get beaten. And he did. Oh, Lenkong. Came off stage with a big smile on though. But DMM Raiden Racing so near to their first semi-final this year.
So close.
Oh, not today. All right, Apex Racing in Quad Force 1. Can you take any more? Because it's coming now. Dane Grace with Oscar Nilsson. Timothy Trowbridge. And completing the lineup, Deadly Eric Holden. Welcome back. Apex Racing. Oh, it looks nice, doesn't it? It's clean, the Apex drones. They're all identical for this team as well. Let's talk with Technical Director Glenn on stage. Glenn, so you were finalists yesterday, runners-up this time. How do you go one better today?
Yeah, so my pilots and teammates, they have had some really good practice today, so I think we've come even more prepared this time. Really ready to bring it on.
They're going to bring it on. Good luck, Apex. Their route to another grand final, maybe their fourth consecutive grand final, starts here. Stopping them, Alex Campbell, Evan Turner, Soren Anderson, and Corey Ibanez. Together, the Americans, the Quad Force 1. It's blue, it's white, it's sleek, it's American, it's loud. I'm talking about the drone, not Alex Campbell. So, on stage, I think Preston Garrison will be leading out his guys. Preston, We got you flying yesterday. That's already an improvement from Turin. What have you got to say to Apex? You going to take them down?
We've been dialing in our quads and we're ready to let it eat.
Oh, okay. I know your boys like that. All right, handshakes between Preston and Glenn. Good luck to both of these incredible teams. What different stories we've had from them this season. Apex currently in second place, having been in 3 consecutive grand finals now, winning 2 of them, but not yesterday's. On the other side, the runners-up of last year's World Championship, but languishing so far down the table after they have not had the best run of it with drones. Couldn't fly, basically, in Turin. Couldn't compete. Yesterday, flew in quarterfinals, but not well enough.
10 seconds countdown.
It's going to be Timothy Trowbridge and Alex Campbell to kick things off. Launch is good for Campbell. Trowbridge passes him before they reach the McDonald's gate. One way, one the other side. Campbell is still flying. It looked like he might have hit something, but he's all right. Trowbridge is charging though towards the Liechtenstein gate and comes out low but quick through it and around Parliament towards I-turn he goes, and Campbell is over 2 seconds behind him, and Campbell is crashed and Campbell is out, and the goggles are up and the point is Apex's. Trowbridge practicing his finish, and the high fives, the handshakes, they're good at that, they're practiced at that because they do them quite regularly. Points come to Apex, and it's Campbell disappointingly out of this already. Been a rough season for him. That's Trowbridge's 6th win in 11 single heats. And pilots on the rest of Apex who are coming, they got a lot of wins too. Here's Campbell.
Yeah, you can see a lot of blue light from the LEDs coming into the lens, blocking up the vision somewhat. And actually, yesterday we had a lot of crashes on the DCL banners that you see hanging there. But I think today, Campbell is the first one to hit it.
Yeah, the hurdles, and a lot of the crashes yesterday were on the forward approach, so out of the blocks.
Right.
Under the first one, which is just to the left of this picture, and then over the second. A lot of people hitting the second. Today, I don't think anybody's crashed into them on the way to the McDonald's gate, but
you're correct.
One there on the way back. So Dane Grace with his 7 wins out of 10 single heats faces off against Soren Monroe Anderson, who's got 5 from 7. So these pilots know how to win it. Dane against Fat Kids. That's his name. I'm not being rude. Grace and Anderson. Grace away. McDonald's gate not a problem, and somehow Anderson went from about 0.2 behind him to 1.2 behind him. That was very hesitant out of the McDonald's gate for Anderson, but he's still flying, and there he goes through the Liechtenstein gate. That gap is almost doubled. He's out. Anderson so far behind, and now finished. Oh, Quad Force 1. We're getting deja vu, aren't we? Another point to Dane. Another point for the Danes. Apex and Quad Force 1, they only raced 1 time this season. It was our 2nd day of racing in Turin in July. Apex wiped out Quad Force 4-0 there because Quad Force couldn't fly in any of the races. Here, though, they're just being beaten out as they're not finishing the ones that they're starting.
Yeah, let's take a look at what happened here. Soren Anderson making quite a nice corner here through the Liechtenstein gate.
Oh, wow.
This seems like a technical failure in the drone.
He went ever so wide coming back from it, yeah.
Yeah, it could be a loss of connection. Could also be a shutdown mid-air. One of the ESCs or motors that stopped spinning.
Well, we have a protest system if they think it's something track-related rather than drone-related. And they can raise a protest flag, but we haven't seen any of them here. It's been all very clean so far. Here is the FAI Junior World Champion. That was Oscar Nilsson, and Corey Ibanez needs to put points on the American side of the scoreboard now. Oh, Corey's hit the McDonald's gate as he was in the lead. Definitely still flying. Oh, not anymore. Oh my God, Quad Force 1. He doesn't seem to know what's happened to his drone, but the picture's gone. And Oscar! To a huge roar from the crowd in Vaduz. I think, yeah, the tree He's progressed further than Corey, though. So his run is over, but the point will go to them because Corey crashed already, some way further behind. So he's going to beat himself up doubly there, because if he hadn't crashed it, he'd be passing Oscar. Let's see what happened with the American.
Yeah, Corey fighting with video here.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, he's going left and right, making corrections, and in fact, he hit the same banner as Alex Campbell. That point, you just need to have a straight line. It's just too tight to start correcting, steering left and right.
Nielsen did no need to go right there at all. He was meant to go straight on and head to the I-time gate. Seems to have turned right into the tree.
Yes, yes.
Has he just made a mistake there about the route?
Yeah, I think he got the instruction to go back to the crash gate and to end the lap.
Ah, yes. That's, probably it.
That's why he went right, but he forgot there was a tree in the way.
There's a tree. Yeah, there's a tree. Wow. That's Eric Holden. I think he's warming his hands.
10
Eric
seconds
has a very
countdown.
unusual flying style. We briefly mentioned yesterday. Some pilots fly with thumbs just on top of the sticks, and some pilots pinch with their thumbs and fingers. Eric Holden does both. One thumb, one hybrid. But Evan Turner flies away from him, and Holden flies away from him. This is going to go back and forth if these two pilots can keep it in the air. We hope we're not looking at technical problems again for Quad Force 1. And Evan Turner is a little bit behind now. 1.83 seconds, and he's dropping further and further, I think. Although, he's been given a little bit of a chance there by Eric Holden, who was slower coming out of the I-time part of the course. And on to lap number 2. We go. And Holden is down, as you saw, but I think Evan Turner was already down. And Eric Holden limps back into the air, but Turner has no picture to fly with. It's absolutely heartbreaking for the Americans as they see Apex go 4-0 in front of them again. And you see Eric shake his head. That's not a run of his standards. Still, you know, a wry smile, a little smile on Evan Turner's face. It's so good to see. But oh my, Quad Force 1.
So
There's
sad,
really no
yeah.
way of describing how they must be feeling. They couldn't get anything in the air in Turin.
No.
Lax was a struggle for them prior to that. And 2018, they rocked.
Evan Turner here, really fighting with video channels as well, video reception as well. They have to take a look at what's at their drones, because I'm looking at all of the video channels, and to be honest, their connection is just way worse than out of all other pilots I see. So it could be have something to do with the way their antennas are set up. It could be have something to do with the video transmitter that they use. Something's going on with their technical setup. So I would recommend them to take another look at that and go back to the drawing board with their video system.
It's heartbreaking, like I say. Such incredible pilots, always positive as well. Talking to Chief, he's always like, hey man, I can't do his voice. Hey man, like, ready to go. We're just going to send it.
They're the nicest guys.
They were prepared. I got the train here with Corey Ibanez, and we just bumped into each other and caught that train together. And he was telling me all on the journey, like, we're ready. The kit works. We've flown it. We've practiced it. We think we're 10% faster than everyone else.
Yep.
They came in with a new canopy design, which they hadn't got approved. So that was a bit of a problem. They've changed that. This isn't a canopy-related aerodynamic issue at all.
No, and they have all the talent in the team.
Yeah.
The pilots are absolutely champions. They've won races all around the world. And it's so sad to see them struggle in this competition. 'Cause we know what they can do.
Yeah. Anybody who watched any of our 2018 season, and you can catch part of that on our channels, on YouTube, on Facebook. We're also on Instagram, Drone Champions League on all of those, and Drone Champions L on Twitter. If you go on our YouTube channel, you can see previous races from 2018, 2017, our first early races in 2016 too. Wow, it's big heat time, and it's as big a big heat as you can ask for.
Okay, so on a positive note, it is possible to do it.
It is.
If they take 1, 2, 3, and 4, they got 5 points.
That's how it's done, Martijn. But it is almost never done. So let's never say die, as we've seen earlier on, and let's not have blue drone of Evan Turner crash into a blue drone in front of him, which is very, very close to doing. Corey Ibanez is down, though, I'm sorry to say, but he's got picture, and he might recover it, but he's not only got to recover it, he's got to move past everything white. It's hard to watch, isn't it? Brilliant racing, we must appreciate it from Trowbridge, Grace, Holden, and Oscar Nielsen is still flying for them too. But Campbell is finished, Anderson is finished, Ibanez is still looking from his crashed position. He's got picture, but he can't fly. Evan Turner, you can hear his teammates willing him on. Chief is screaming at him to come on, get up through this field, as Apex are in procession formation now. Holden's decided he'd like to win it. I think he's past Trowbridge. They'll go in just about. 3 of them will. Holden and Trowbridge decided they'd have a little mini battle between their teammates. I don't think Trowbridge is in. And that's pretty broken.
Yeah, that's an antenna.
that doesn't normally come off.
Apex Racing is a real team. These guys are so close together. It's amazing to see how they help each other. They help each other build the drones, repair them. It's a team with a relatively small budget, but maybe even bigger team spirit. They in fact did get 1, 2, and 3. Oscar Nielsen here, clipping the side. No, he went in. This is where we see two of their drones actually hitting the side of the Red Bull crash gate. But then again, doesn't matter. Here's the celebration. Take a look at the results. There it is, officially. Apex Racing beating Quad Force 1, making their way through to the semi-finals.
Again, Apex through out of the corners again. Oscar Nielsen, congratulations. Welcome to the DCL. Are you enjoying racing with these incredible teammates and our tracks?
Of course, the racing is really close and I love the team. The team spirit is really good.
You are the FAI Junior World Champion. What's it like in this team environment in front of an incredible crowd like we have here?
Well, there's rarely that I fly right in front of a crowd. It's really fun to hear the screaming and the shouting and the crowd getting excited. And team racing is completely different from individual racing. Here, you actually have to think about where everyone else is and
Yeah, of course, there's more to take in. Where are your opponents, where your teammates are. A little bit of a scrap going on between yourselves in the big heat as well. Were you worried about crashing into any of your team?
I was the last one of us. I was sort of keeping my distance just to avoid meters because we were the 4 first, which was good.
Semi-finalists, grand finalists later?
Of course.
Of course, we'll find out. Congratulations, Oscar. Congratulations, Apex. They round out the semi-finalists. Well, the quarterfinals of the Drone Prix Liechtenstein for today are in the books with a massive result for Apex Racing and Quad Force 1 have got wounds to lick and, wow, bruises to cover up and drones to fix and a season beyond recovery. Semi-finals line up with X-Blades and Veloce, a rematch of that incredible quarter-final yesterday, where Veloce intentionally tried to knock X-Blades out earlier on. They got them in the semi-finals today, and then Apex and Drone Sports will race off in semi-final number 2. What incredible action we've seen here in the capital of this beautiful country, and an amazing crowd joining us here, as you've seen and as Oscar was just mentioning too. What's it like in Liechtenstein? Well, let's show you some more of this beautiful scenery, and let's also show you how wonderful it is in the part of the world where you can literally cross a river and cross a country.
How's it going, everybody? I'm Alex Campbell. Most of you know me as Chief, and today I'm standing here in Switzerland, headed to the race in Vaduz, Liechtenstein, and they just told me that the way to get there is across this crazy little bridge. So we're here to check it out and fly our Drone Champions League drone through it. Come with me. We're here at the Switzerland-Liechtenstein border, 1 foot away from crossing the border. On our way we go. So here's the castle we saw from the bottom of the mountain. We've made it up here, fellas. It's beautiful up here. Serene, peaceful. I bet you could see for miles off this hilltop. This is so neat. Liechtenstein is incredible. There's so much stuff in a small part, I can't believe it. You go from green rolling fields to snow-capped peaks of the mountains, and I can't believe it's so beautiful here. I'm enjoying my time in Liechtenstein. This place is gorgeous. I'm enjoying all the views, but we have drone racing to do. I gotta go.
The wildcard team for Liechtenstein was selected through a special online competition, the McDonald's Drone Challenge, to find the 8 fastest players living in Liechtenstein and Switzerland. All players entered with a unique McDonald's Wildcard Challenge code, and then played DCL the game, the official video game of the DCL. The 8 fastest were then invited to Vaduz, where the final selection for the weekend was made. Joshua Barrisfield was one of the 8 picks taking part in practice in the real track. 8 months ago, he hadn't even touched a drone, never mind raced one.
It's completely surreal. I don't know how I got here. I compare myself to the other pilots and I'm by far the most inexperienced.
Far more experienced was Yannick Glauser. He raced in DCL last season and was part of the wildcard team which reached the semi-finals at this year's opening stop in Lax.
Yeah, I feel really good. Yeah, I had this year a lot of practice. You have to fly smart. So first fly safe and then push a little bit more.
All 8 pilots had a second practice session before a final knockout race against the clock to decide which 4 pilots would earn their place in the McDonald's drone team.
I was actually more nervous like last time for the challenge than I was for the racing, and so now I'm just relieved. I'm really happy that I made the first place in the challenge, so I'm pumped and ready to race.
Raphael's brother Serafin, Michael Isler and Pascal Lugenbühl completed the lineup.
An incredible Mirko Cesena and his 3D helicopter display. As you see, the preparation area is busy. This is Apex's hangar. Timothy Trowbridge cutting something up there. Martin, what's exactly you think he's doing there?
Well, we saw one of their drones missing a video antenna after they clipped the crash gate, so they're probably doing some repairs there. Maybe
Got
even
a good number of them. What's that? 7, 8 hanging up, I think I count there. So that's nice. Of course, every pilot needs to bring at least 2 to the start through our preparation area. 1 for the single heat, another for the big heat, and they can bring a spare for each as well. Oh, what's that on the left of the picture? Is that a runner-up of the Drone Prix Liechtenstein trophy I see from yesterday? Just casually put to the side. They've got their minds on winning a bigger one today.
Yep.
Dane Grace is
checking all the propellers now. And also, no, what he's doing is those arms are pretty much bolted to the frame, and if something breaks there, or maybe your screw is a bit loose, then you're getting some movement, and you want to have that as stiff as possible, because if there's any movement, with movement comes vibrations, and with vibrations, yeah, you're just missing out on control. Maybe even picture if your camera starts shaking. And yeah, it's pretty essential to have a good video picture to race.
There's a discussion going on our YouTube channel as to merchandise that we need, and they want some X-Blade action figures with fist bump action fists. Yeah, plushies? Yeah, maybe. Here is race control. There's our race director, Fabian, close to the camera. Behind him, Herbert, the CEO and founder of DCL. Hello, guys. You're having a very smooth evening of it tonight. Not too many incidents, no protests yet either. You're getting to enjoy the racing. Herbert's like, no, you don't realize how hard it is up here, and he's going to fire me at any moment. I love you, Herbert. I love doing this job. Please don't fire me.
Yeah, these guys absolutely have it together here. We have great video and great races. I think this is the best single heats and the best big heats I've seen all season. So we can be pleased here. Massive crowd here on foot in Liechtenstein. Look at those people.
And it was much like this 2 years ago, a great family turnout. It is everywhere we go, around the world. If you ever get a chance to come and join us for the Drone Champions League live, you really should. There's a village here as well, the DCL village, where you can fly our little micro drones. You can also get to fly on our simulator DCL the game. You can't get that right now, but it will be launched on the 28th of January 2020. And you can find out more about our races, our pilots, and DCL the game on our social media, Drone Champions League on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and Drone Champions L on Twitter. Please give us more letters. Drone Champions League on all of those. You want to find out about the game? 28th of January is when you too can fly around these courses. They're all mapped out perfectly in the game. It's also where our pilots practice them in advance of appearing on site, as they are here before flying out to Vaduz. They were flying our track a week ago. And qualifying is done in that as well. So buy the game when it's released on the 28th of January and see if you can get times anywhere close to what our pilots have managed to do. And maybe join them. More news on that later on in the year. Martin, this course here in Vaduz, we talked about how it is a little bit different than when we raced here in 2017. That stage, for example, is a lot higher than what you had to fly over. And the route between the Parliament and the National Museum as you come back from the Liechtenstein building up on the hill next to the inflatable crown, that's a lot narrower. Shall we show you what it was like in 2017? Let's have a look at Martin de Kemp racing with his team Conrad in the rain. Look at it.
Yeah, pouring
This
rain.
is what it was like 2 years back when a day's worth of rain decided it was going to fall. We're on board with Heiko Schenk. That looks nice.
Absolute legend of the sport, Heiko.
Loads of room to fly in there. He's quick,
Oof,
isn't he?
he's quick.
Where are you,
Oh.
Kemp? Where are you? You're
I'm-
falling down the leaderboard from second, third, fourth. Okay. Yellow for the Conrad Racing team.
Yeah, again over. Yeah, look at this, man.
You're still flying. You were third. Now you're fourth. You and Stroopy. I remember these guys so well. It's a good reunion, this, actually. Lots of the old pilots are back here having some fun. Shake? No, that's not how you make the Liechtenstein gate. Careful, or Kemp will catch you. No, he won't. He's down.
Yeah, I was out here. Yeah, all credits to Heiko Schenk. He absolutely pulled us through that final race here.
It's a really fast run from him. And the crash gate was that side of the stage as well, so you didn't have to go over it to complete it. Instead, you could just bomb straight into it on the finish. There's the end for Kai Stutz. for FPV Racing. Timothy Trowbridge's old team, I think that was as well. We saw him with them originally. And Martijn, there he is. He's grown up, hasn't he?
It does bring good memories.
I should
really
think
good
so,
memories.
yeah. As we saw, the champagne bottle in your hands. Nobody else was getting hold of it. The trophy was yours. Everybody wanted to hold a piece of it. I'm not done with it, said Martijn. And holds it up some more. Still got the trophy? Or
No,
is that in a team
I don't
hanger
know.
somewhere?
I don't know who got it. Maybe our sponsor. I think the sponsor
It's
brought
probably
it home.
proudly in Conrad's offices, isn't it?
It could be.
Behind stage today, there's Veloce and X-Blade to the right. Evan Turner hanging around. All the guys still here in the pits. Looking pretty calm. Brett's enjoying himself, waiting to race again. And the preparation area where we hand in the drones, ready to fly.
Yeah, hand in drones, and as you can see there, Apex team manager is working on some SD cards. They have 2 SD cards in the drone. If I'm correct, one is for the HD camera, that's also on board, and the other one is for the data logger. What they do is they log the amount of power that every drone draws. There's a limit to that. You're not allowed to go over it. It's all measured by SD cards. And those are checked right after the race. That happens here. And also, this is where you see the quads that are lined up for the next race. So each pilot, as you mentioned earlier, brings 2 drones. This one up front is for the single heat. And the one behind it is for the big heat.
So the semi-finals will be with you soon. Those pink drones, those are the Veloce ones. I guess if you mix that blue and that pink, you'll get something closer to the purple, but I like it. I like the color that they've gone through. On this side, X-Blades with stripes on the Dragonfly, Apex white drone leaving the room there. So that's what's happening behind our stage as we await the next flights in our semi-finals. Who's got it? Well, let us know in the chat. And with the big crowd here in Vaduz, I know you're joining us from all over the world on YouTube and Facebook. Thank you for joining us. I'm Matt Andrews. Martijn de Kemp, champion of Vaduz, is with me here. Welcome back.
I'm dethroned, though, right?
It's true. There was another winner yesterday, wasn't there?
Yeah.
You might have heard of them. They win stuff.
Yeah, these guys nowadays are pretty fast as well.
You don't fancy being out there?
Oh, to be honest, it started itching. Yeah, actually, I went on backstage here. I went on DCL the game.
Yeah,
to go around the track. I'm not as good as I used to be.
It's hard. It's a very accurate simulator. You can play it on arcade mode. You can play it with gamepads. You can play it with keyboard and mouse if you're that way inclined. It's not easy. So we showed you earlier on Fabian and Herbert, who's still hopefully keeping me employed in our Race Direct cabin. There they are. Let's take you a little bit more, though, behind the scenes with these guys and show you the life that makes DCL work.
Hi, I'm Fabian Wachter. I'm DCL's race director. Basically, my job is to watch out if the sportive part from DCL is working fine. Here, I have my infotainment system. I can see all the times, I can see the heats, and I get the information if it's an invalid flight or it's something I need to review. These screens are helping me a lot because here I can see the video feed of every drone. I am basically looking for flight mistake, trying to see if this video loss was a mistake by DCL or by the drone itself. I have a team of 8 spotters here. Every spotter is watching the live feed of one pilot. You can see here the drone feed, and the spotters are basically my backup judges. And with this infotainment system, they can mark a lap as invalid lap, they can mark a crash, and very important, they can mark a run as under review.
Bounce hoch.
So after I get the notification from my spotter that something is under review, I will judge it with my DVR system. I will decide if he gets any penalty or card, and I will tell Lukas Baumann, our chief judge on stage, what this decision is and to who he has to hand out cards.
We have a disqualification for seat number 7 for missing the I-time date.
So we are in the race control. This is where every decisions are made. This is basically the heart of DCL. If everybody is happy, we are happy, and everybody has a great weekend.
So that's the life, Fabian Vactor, when it's race day. And look, he's going to load more fans. A lot more people have turned up. I think they've realized, oh, look, he's on camera. I'm going to join him. Can't get into our commentary booth, though, so no chance of people crashing us here. That's what happens then. Behind the scenes at DCL, the wonderful team of spotters and volunteers and runners and race control who keep these races flying. Semi-final time is just about ready. You saw X-Blades and Veloce looking pretty relaxed earlier on, while Apex and Drone Sports were getting ready for semi-final number 2. It's a little bit different to yesterday. X-Blades and Veloce raced in the quarterfinals yesterday, and I can tell you, HJ wanted them again. At the end of yesterday's racing, the seeding for today is determined because it's based on yesterday's results. So they both knew they were facing each other, and HJ told me, good, well, we'll just do it in the semi-finals then. Only he said it in a bit of a different way, as you might imagine. Here they come, semi-final time. Back comes Brett Collis. Gary Kent wants some more. Luke Bannister, always ready to show us what he can do. Brilliant pilots. Killian Rousseau keeps racking up wins here in Vaduz. Pulling his team, they're all making it work. They're X-Blades. Dominic. Oh, we got it again. You versus Veloce. You know they want to stop you. What happens today?
Well, HJ and Young Rock has always been part of the X-Blades family. They decided to go their own route, and yeah, we will see where this will take you, my friend. Good luck to Veloce from our side. You will really, really need that. We're going to be right after you.
Oh, it's coming. It's going to be spicy. Young Rock did used to race with them. HJ was always around with the team in previous seasons, but they've got their own. They look like this. It's the Koreans. Young Rock's son, Min-Chan Kim. Getting his wins in, Min-Jae Kim. And Ethan Kling. Veloce Racing. It was a really good showing from you guys in the quarterfinals earlier on. HJ, you told me last night, we're facing X-Blades if we make it to the semi-finals. I want to meet them again.
I hate again, you know. I hate that word again. so I was very honored. I used to be X-Blade, and Young Rock was X-Blade. So we met in now the GCL, the different team. Now it's the third time. We are one versus one. We are beaten my X-Blade in Lux. Now we are defeated yesterday. Now we're second, so we are 1-1. Now our final. Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Yes, HJ. Thank you very much. He's right, you know. There's history here. It's from much earlier in our season. Veloce knocked out X-Blades in a semi-final. That was on day 2 of our racing. 2,252 meters above sea level on a mountain in Switzerland at the incredible snowboarding resort of Lax. There, X-Blades realized this season may not be as easy or certainly as one-sided as 2018 looked like it was going to be.
10 seconds
And
countdown.
since then, of course, they have been putting points away. So Gary Kent and Young Rock Sun are going to race off against each other. Again, these are rematches of the quarterfinal. So all of these pilots in these pairs raced yesterday. Gary Kent's got a big lead here over Young Rock Sun. He lost to him yesterday because he crashed. Let's see what he's got here. Gary Kent, he mentioned earlier on, this track's been difficult for him. That sounded like a clip on the banner, but actually, although it looked like Gary, I think Young Rock Sun did one at the same time elsewhere. He has crashed, he's in netting, he's twitching, but I don't think he's getting that back. So it's looking like Gary Kent is going to be given this one. Yeah, he's wrapping it up. Yep, Sun has finished into some netting, I think next to the Parliament. Gary Kent wins that one. He's lost it yesterday after he crashed, and the opposite is true today. Young Rock Sun's perfect record sadly gone. Gary Kent's now on 11 wins from 14 for the season.
Something interesting was going on here because Young Rock Sun made a really late start. I don't know if that was intentional. Maybe he really wanted to humiliate his former teammate Gary Kent. Here you see it. Gary taking off. Young Rock still standing there. I think he had some problems arming his drone. I could see the light go on and off. Eventually he did make his way from the platform. unfortunately ending up in the side of the net of the National Museum, I believe.
Now, yesterday in the quarter-final between these two teams, Gary Kent, as I say, he didn't finish, so he lost to Young Roxanne, but all of the other light blue drones were the winners. And Gary's now got a point for his team. So this looks ominous for Veloce, but Min Jae Kim picked up 2 brilliant points earlier on, winning the single and the big heat. Let's see what he can do with young Kilian Rousseau. Kilian's 14, Min Jae is 10 years old. And Min Jae is away full of confidence after that earlier quarterfinal, but Kilian, he made it count when he needed to yesterday, and he's got Min Jae on that turn. They come down practically joined together. And I-Time is another really close battle between them. Kilian's got some lead here, but it's almost nothing over Min Jae Kim. And Kim is into the side. Looked like he might be a little bit too high. Managed to avoid clipping that, but he is into the side netting and finished, and Kilian makes it 2. Much more confident and aggressive and quick flying from Min Jae Kim today, but over there on the start of lap 2.
Yeah, Min Jae, absolutely brilliant young pilot, super talented, has a very bright future ahead of him. They were racing pretty much side by side. Actually, there was a small mid-air here. Both of them they have identical lines. Small collision here, yes, as you can see.
Good spot. Yes, Martin, well done.
Yeah, spiraling out of control. He pushed him forward, actually, for a little bit.
All seems pretty well, though, and back into contention, but somewhere around here, there it is. That's a strange place to crash, Martin.
Yeah, strange place. Maybe
that's very close to the stage.
Yeah, I have noticed that on top of the stage there is some construction work that is very, very hard to see, especially as the night falls. Maybe he just touched that for a second.
Yep. They all know it's there.
10 seconds countdown.
Luke Bannister and Ethan Kling was a good race yesterday. Both finished it, but Luke was the one who finished it first. That's a brilliant start by both of them. Out we go. Through the same side of the McDonald's gate, we come back with Bannister in the lead. And Kling is all around the back of him, not far behind. Neck and neck through the Liechtenstein gate, 0.02 of a second. That was absolutely phenomenal, but Kling dropped a little bit of ground there, and he's caught that Breitling banner, and that has sent him down onto the ground. Ah, it's over. Oh, I want to see that one go and go and go, but not today. Luke Bannister, of course, raced in many races around the world, multiple world champion with X-Blades and in his own right. Ethan Kling here is one of our pilots through the DCL draft in February, which we did in Cannes, inviting gamers who are brilliant on our simulator and qualified for it to come to Cannes and have a chance to be picked by the team owners. HD picked him for Veloce, showing us a little bit of what he can do. Terrific sim racer, great drone racer, but beaten here.
Yeah, X-Blades is just such an experienced team. He clipped, he was a bit too low there.
Yeah.
He hit the Breitling sign.
First one of those
X-Blades is just such an experience. These guys are, you know, Luke is a very, very young guy still, but he's got a track record that's so long. You know,
Yeah.
it's longer than my resume. I can tell you that.
No.
The pressure that's on these pilots, especially on the track, on this kind of track that's so technical, is really high. And yeah, you just know the level is so close together. Even when I looked at the training times, all of these pilots are just neck and neck. So then it comes down to who can keep their cool.
Now, 2 pilots who can keep their cool. Get ready for this. Everybody joining us on YouTube and Facebook, yep. It's Brett Collis and MCK. 2 of the greatest drone racing pilots in the world in single heat, number 4. Kim with a better start. Collis, of course, as is usual, but unusually not earlier on today, but otherwise we always see him kind of a lot second, and he has. And Kim is not going to let him get into first anytime soon, but Collis is capable of getting there in his own right. But you want an opponent. Kim's got Collis. Collis has got Kim. Oh, Collis is down. And Kim is deadly fast coming over the stage. That was one of the quickest routes onto the start of lap number 2 I have seen. He's wrapping it up as Collis has put it into a lot of netting. MCK gets one back from Veloce. Absolutely desperately needed that. Told you it was a lot of netting. I don't fancy pulling that one out of there, I've got to admit. But I'm not going to, so lucky me. Collis, where are you?
Interesting to see both of them taking different approaches through the Liechtenstein gate. Neck and neck racing here. This is the top of the world. World-class pilots, both of them. Minchin, absolute legend. Brad Collis been the most consistent pilot throughout the last year's season. I don't believe it was in midair. Something went wrong with his drone. It spiraled out. Could be a burnt electronic speed controller.
Oh, yeah.
Seemed like a technical issue with the drone.
You see someone with the experience of Brett Collis on stage smiling, just going, that's racing, that's my fault, so. MCK makes it 1. So we'll loom a big heat over the heads of all of these pilots who are so good at dealing with pressure. And Veloce have to come in first and second at least. First, second, and third will get them 3. And a final spot over X-Blades that they desperately want. With that, a few drinks from some other teams, I suspect later on at the after party, for stopping X-Blades scoring any more points in the grand final today. But that is a huge challenge. As you've seen, it gets absolutely packed here in Vaduz, all along the length of our racetrack. So thrilled to have so many people joining us, and what racing we're getting. One of the very best days of racing in the DCL I can ever remember. Drone Champions League on Instagram, Facebook and YouTube if you want to see more from where we've been and where we're going. Drone Champions L on Twitter to find out more too. And on YouTube and Facebook, who's got this then? Tony Avella thinks X-Blades are going to take another win today. Marcel Greger says, good job, MCK. Good luck, Veloce from X-Nova Motors. Is Brett human? Some people say on YouTube. I'm enjoying the legendary status he's getting on him. Bat Brett. Wissam Saliba wanted MCK to win. Well. Just champions all over this stage. Incredible performance. Gary's a bit worried about disconnections, did I hear? Luke wants to help.
Yeah, what they do always before takeoff is do an arming check. An arming check means that the pilot has to periodically turn on the propellers to see if everything works, and then turn it back off again. And as I can see right now, the arming failed. So Gary was unable to spin the propellers up. On the back there we have a crossfire system. So actually a long-range transmitter system. They power cycled the quad, and now it seems to work.
Konstantin thinks X-Blades will get this. Anthony says, let's go Ethan for Veloce. I know there's a lot of support for X-Blades, of course. Jan Vermissen wants X-Blades. Mateus says, go Luke. I know Elion will be screaming on with the family for X-Blades. Love having you all with us. So that's a lot like Min Jae Kim's drone earlier on. He's got similar issues for Min Chan Kim. Yamrot-sun's got a bit of that as well. How beautiful is this here, live to you from Vaduz in Liechtenstein. All along the length of the course, people absolutely packed. In front of the stage as well, a few people visiting the pit lane. You can see how accessible it is. We want to give you the chance to meet these pilots, chat to them, get up close and see what the drones are like for them. Some dabbing, give it, go on then. That'll make Drone Meme happy. I haven't seen any flossing yet. It's flossing out of fashion.
I'm afraid it is, Matt.
Just because we're in chapter 2.
Dabbing is out of fashion
I see you gamers,
as well.
I know you.
I saw Luke tries to, is still dabbing though.
I thought you were going to say floss.
Ah, floss.
I thought Luke Bannister is going to floss on stage. If so, I'm interviewing him.
Let's see what he does if he wins the big heat here.
If he wins this, shall I make him dab?
Yeah, make him dab, yeah.
I don't know, it's serious, Luke, isn't it?
It's serious Luke now, yeah.
Well, the big heat is looking ready. A few drones, I think, have been switched out for the permitted spare one. So as I said earlier on in the preparation area, you have to bring one for the single heat and one for the big heats. And ideally, you bring a spare for each as well. You get one chance. So we turn on your drone. If it doesn't work, we power cycle it. If that doesn't work, you try with the other drone. If that doesn't work, we power cycle that. If that doesn't work, goodbye.
That's it.
4 bites at it. So as the party continues here in Vaduz, these players on stage, they need to keep their emotions in check.
Countdown.
Of course, it's a bit more confident on the light blue side of the stage, as they have a 2-point advantage. It's a lot of purple drones at the front, which is exactly what Veloce need to do, and they're in the hands of MCK, Min-Jae Kim, Young Rock-Sun. Ethan Kling's flying aggressively up there as well. It looks like Young Min-Jae has gone down. It's still purple at front, but it needs to be at least 2, and it could well be. Second and third and fourth, purples and blues, they've all split each other and gone into the netting, leaving Min-Jae Kim a lot clearer. And all of a sudden now, I think Young Rock-Sun has moved up from way back into being the next challenger for Veloce to take them to the finals. Kylian Rousseau is the one stopping them right now, though he doesn't need to win, but he does need to come at least second. MCK to the stage. Young Rock-Sun is fighting it out. He's got X-Blades next to him on both sides. Now he's got X-Blades in front of him. And Luke can't stay in his seat. And that is a point for Veloce as they win it, but they had to get at least 2. And Young Rock-Sun ends up 5.42 behind MCK. Oh, it was a good start by all of them, but it didn't last. THJ respectfully shaking hands with people he knows so well, but oh, disappointment. They came within a point of doing it. X-Blades are finalists again.
Great sportsmanship between the two teams. There's no denying in the class of Min-Jae Kim. Great launch by Veloce Racing here. 3 drones. There's the first crash. Min-Jae Kim was able to lead just from the start. No one could catch that guy. One of the most aggressive lines I've seen. Beautiful split S here. But unfortunately, he needed a teammate of him to place second so that they could secure 2 points. But X-Blades proved their class once again. There you have it. Kylian Rousseau and Luke Bannister right after Min-Jae. The excitement. They did it. X-Blades making it to the finals again. There you have it, 3-2.
Grand finalists. We've said this many times in many locations around the world. We'll say it again. Grand finalists, X-Blades Racing. Luke, congratulations. Intense.
Yeah, that big heat was so intense. It was just drones going back and forth the whole time. And I'm just glad we managed to break up the pack and take the win.
You guys are very strategic, I know, when it comes to big heats. You know, sometimes we don't need to win them. We just need to stop the other team getting 2 or 3 or whatever it is they need. Is that how you approach this one as well?
So unless we need a win, if we need a win, all 4 of us go at the exact same time because it's 4 chances to get the win. Whereas if we know we have to break up the pack, we split the pack 2 and 2. So we mitigate mid-airs between ourselves. And then once we were up there in the race, Brett was telling us, all right, hold your position in the pack. So don't overtake each other or vice versa.
I've got a request that people want to see you dab. We're getting a lot of dabbing in the audience, I know. Apparently you do a good dab.
I'm afraid it's not for the stage.
I think he's right, to be honest. He's a grand finalist. Let's concentrate on the flying. Luke, congratulations. But I tried. But he's a pro.
He is.
I didn't expect him to die. Oh, X-Blades do it again. Grand finalists again. HJ earlier on said he doesn't like the English word again. Well, X-Blades quite like it, I'm sure. Apex and Drone Sports, well, there's another again for you. If Apex win this semi-final, it is the 4th consecutive grand final between those teams. Let's find out who gets there. You know these pilots so brilliantly well by now. Dane Grace with his teammates Eric Holden, with Timothy Trowbridge, with Oscar Nielsen as well on stage. Glenn is surely having a great time as technical director of this incredible team. Glenn, if you win this, it's X-Blades again. Are you happy to be facing them should you get there?
Yeah, of course, it's always fun to have good competition. That's what makes racing fun. But first, we have a really good team in front of us, so hopefully we'll beat them, and we hope it'll be an epic race.
Yep, I'm sure it will. Last time you two raced each other, you beat them 4-0, so you must have some confidence. I'm sure he does. But
so I'm hoping that we will perform as before, but as I said, Drone Sports, they are really good pilots and they can always come back, so you never know. But hopefully we'll win.
Thank you, Glenn. Thank you very much. He's right, of course. You've seen the variety of results we get, although we do seem to be getting a lot of finals between the light blues and the whites. Russia would like to change that now. Thomas Petersons, Konstantin Kosolopov, Platon Maximov, and Pavel Leshak, who had that thrilling big heat earlier on that just managed to get the Russians into the semi-finals. Going to need a little bit more than the slim margins like that in order to put Apex away and get into the grand final. Capable of doing it, but huge names to stop, as you see on the side of the screen. Great lineups, both the whites of the Danish team of Apex and the reds for the Russians, with a Latvian and Polish pilot in the hands of Drone Sports. Timothy Trowbridge will race off
10 seconds
with Platon
countdown.
Maximov for the first single heat. Last time these two pilots raced, and the only time these teams have ever met, it was Trowbridge who beat Maximov. He's got a lead here of just over half a second. We're on board with the Russian pilots of Maximov. Panda FPV has closed that gap considerably. He's almost side by side with Trowbridge. Now they're neck and neck as they complete lap number 1, and we go into lap number 2 with Trowbridge still in the lead, and Maximov is not letting him have this all his own way. Bit slower out of the McDonald's gates, but you already seen he can close it, and he's going to try now. The Liechtenstein gate is a little bit easier for Trowbridge. He hasn't got quite as much difficulty from Maximov in this. The timing's a little bit wrong. You can see it's a little bit closer than that. Trowbridge, though, has the lead. Maximov's got to catch him now. He's closed the gap a little bit, but a little bit slower out of that. The dive is Trowbridge's. And he's had trouble with them in the past, but not that one. And there was some pressure on him there because he knew he had to nail that finish. He did. Maximov comes in behind him. Congratulations, Timothy. Brilliant race from those two. 2 in the finish gate. 1 gets a heat point. Apex starting to reach out towards the final again.
Yeah, confidence on Timothy Trowbridge's behalf is just rising and rising. He was a bit unlucky in yesterday's race. In practice, he was focusing on making a clean entrance toward the Red Bull crash gate. And that definitely paid off here because he absolutely nailed it. Here we see a lot of corrections in that very small area from Maximov. It is so tight. That area is so super tight. You really have to focus on smoothing out. Actually, you have to smooth your drone out before you enter the McDonald's gate. Because afterwards, you just don't have the time to do it properly and you lose valuable seconds.
Dane Grace here. 18-year-old pilot from Copenhagen.
10 seconds.
Konstantin Kosolopov, 33-year-old KKG from Russia. Dane Grace in white. Konstantin Kosolopov in red. Here it comes. Ropey picture for Kosolopov, but he can definitely fly with it. Grace has got a much cleaner one. He's got a good exit through the McDonald's gate. Cleaner exit there too. Attacking the Liechtenstein turn is Grace with a lead over Kosolopov of 1.82 seconds. That gap extended as Kosolopov struggled to drop down and get through it. Breitling Gate, not an issue for anybody. Grace has made that clean too. Kosolopov is in this net, dangling upside down somewhere close to one of these famous buildings in FedEx. I'm not even sure which one he got to. Grace makes it too. Oh, it's looking like the final again. It's always a thrilling encounter when X-Blades and Apex reach. Dane Grace, so proud to race for this team. Really looking forward to his future in the DCL and with Apex in this season and beyond. They're an incredible team. And a good win for him here. Kosolopov made it to the Parliament. I think it's the government building that he's joined onto.
Yeah, he went for that gate, the I-time gate. It's important to make the split as straight on top of the gate. So go straight over, because on the right side you have netting, on the left side you have a wall. You have to go straight over it, making the turn and go back. He was on the right side of it, clipping the netting, and then it's game over. Because the propellers just spin up in the net and you're stuck there. Meanwhile, our runners will get a ladder and we'll get it out as soon as possible.
That's Oscar Nilsson. You heard him say earlier on, this is very different to the racing he's done as an individual. FAI Junior World Champion, not really used to racing in front of audiences like this, he said, because you get to hear it, of course. With the FPV goggles on, they're seeing what the drone sees. Some of the pilots will put earbuds in to either listen to music or to block out any other kind of distractions. Oscar's hearing this crowd. I think he's enjoying this team sport.
10 seconds.
Standing up and focus. Nilsson against Thomas Petersens from Latvia. Thomas Petersens knows a little bit about the FAI as well. He was 8th in last year's World Championships and China 5th in their world rankings out of over 600 pilots. Oscar Nilsson, the Junior World Champion for the FAI, and has hit the Liechtenstein gates. Petersens leaves him behind, but Nilsson's still here. There's the turnaround the government building, and Nilsson's gaining on him a little bit, slower on the exit through the Breitling gates. And Petersens, weirdly, I mean, he might have clipped the hurdle that we've mentioned nobody else has hit today. Claimed a few drones yesterday, but not so far today, because he went spinning to the right and into the museum wall. And it seems unlikely that he would have done that off a straight line on our course without maybe clipping something on the way. Nilsson's has got the third. The drone spots are going to feel this slipping away now. It's almost looking inevitable that the white ones will be in the final. That's Kosolopov talking.
Yeah, what I noticed, what I noticed from the start is that Peterson's camera angle is way up high. So he's flying with a massive camera angle. That enables you to get a lot of speed because you basically force yourself to fly full throttle pretty much all the time. But it also becomes harder and harder to properly calculate the pitch of the drone. So the amount of forward pitch.
He goes over the stage
so he
here.
goes
That
over,
is absolutely
and here you can
horrible
see it.
to fly with.
He has to pitch back here, and he's throttling up because he wants to go up, but because of the pitch of the camera, he doesn't go up. He goes forward even faster. So he had to pitch back his drone a lot more there to go over.
Tricky work for Thomas Petersons. And a third point in the white hands.
10 seconds countdown.
Eric Holden and Pavel Leshak. When these teams met before, these pilots didn't race off against each other, but Leshak lost it to Dane Grace, and Eric picked up a point in his single heat last time too. Between these two then, will find their way out of the McDonald's gate, both of them out of sight briefly, and then finding their way through the center of the hole. Leshak had the lead over Holden until that turn, and now Holden will come out of Liechtenstein gate 0.18 of a second ahead of Leshak. It's close through I-time as well. This is a good swooping run from both of these pilots. They'll fly over themselves on stage, and Holden dives down and then over the hurdle, and Leshak is with him. Leshak now 32. Leshak's in the wall. And that's a disaster because they had to get these points. You just might have seen on the picture there, one of the red drones hanging off the side of the government building. I don't think that's the one in this race. I think that is actually Konstantin Kosolopov still hanging off the government lit up. Eric shakes hands with Pavel, and he always has a beautiful smile on his face. And you can see how excited he was earlier on when they got out of the quarterfinals. But
yeah, both of them are great pilots. They know each other really well. But I've kept my eye on Eric Holden this entire weekend. This man is just flying so consistent, so smooth. He has so much control of his drone. He just makes it look easy, really. That made Powell push it even harder. Here he pitches his quad entirely forward, going over the stage. Again, yeah, that part is just so extremely tight. Line your quad up before the McDonald's gate, boys.
We've seen that before. A big roar, a quick, hard slap of the hands together, and then fist bumps with the teammates. And we've seen this before, 4-0 for Apex. We've seen it a few times. Terrifying prospect for any team to face a 4-0 lead of Apex. You know how this works, but let me remind you, drone sports have to be first, second, third, and fourth. We've been in this situation a couple of times today. You've got to get all of it now. Everyone to the finish. Doesn't matter if Apex finish behind you. First, second, third, and fourth nets you 5 heat points. It's almost never done.
Yeah, you need a little bit of luck for that to happen.
Yeah.
Some mid-airs.
With a team like Apex to race against, yeah, you need them to get into trouble. You need them to crash out, because if they're all still flying, there's a good chance that they're not behind you. It is packed here, as I mentioned earlier, in Vaduz. Crammed full of families enjoying the action with the best drone racers in the world. They've got a really exciting big heat to look forward to here. It's all in the hands of Apex. And you heard Luke Bannister say earlier on when I was interviewing, as a team, X-Blades, they know in this position they don't have to win. They just need to disrupt.
Right.
They need to stop you scoring all the points you need. So they'll separate out of the blocks. They'll launch separately rather than all attack you.
Yep. Just to play it more safe.
Yeah. Timothy Trowbridge used to race for them as well, so it'll be interesting to see. Have a look here at the Apex drones. Do they come out of the blocks looking to win this thing absolutely outright, or do they come out of the blocks needing to come just in the top 4? If one white drone is in the top 4, then they're in the finals. That's all they need to do. If one red drone goes down, then it's impossible for drone sports to get to today's grand final. They would love to. They've been in one, but it was earlier on in the year when we were in Switzerland. And there they lost the grand final to Veloce. And honestly, after that incredible weekend on a mountain in Lax, I really thought we'd be seeing Drone Sports in more finals. What we've done is seen them in every semi-final we've had since they've made it to all the semi-final stages. But they lost to X-Blades in Turin, they lost to X-Blades yesterday, and they lost to Apex in Turin right now. That's Vaduz. That's the DCR racetrack to you live. We are the live drone sport, the World Championship for drone racing teams. We love celebrating our incredible sport with everybody who joins us here in Vaduz, here on YouTube, here on Facebook. Jamie Cole says he'd love to see Drone Sports come through as the underdogs. It would be incredible, wouldn't it? A team getting 5 points in a big heat. As I say, it's almost never been done. Doing it over Apex now for the Russians. Massive, massive. X-Nova Motors won Apex to win it. Roger Sundberg wants Apex, says best of luck. Nicholas says take 5 points here. Wow, yeah, a 9-0 beat. That would be so hard for the Russians to take. Could be done. We haven't really talked about it, but if Apex come in first, second, third, and fourth, they'll get 5. They can do it. They can get multiple points in big heat. 7-0 in the quarterfinals earlier on. Well, Red is occasionally at the front there. It's now down in second. It belongs to Thomas Peterson. He had the lead for a bit. That is a huge crash into the Parliament building, giving Peterson the lead. And Flashak stays down, and I think that is pretty much terminal for his drone, and that's the hopes of Drone Sports gone with him. But Peterson's was in the lead. Holden has passed him as Peterson's has had some difficulty running McDonald's. Nielsen's has passed him as well. Trowbridge and Grace are down. Kosolopov and Maximov still flying. If Holden and Nielsen crash this, we might get a first, second, and third, but Lashak cannot get his drone to fly. It's done. It's coming again. Holden's home, Nielsen second. Peterson's leads his team, but not the race. Third for him, 3 points. Could have been gained by them by the red drones if they got in front of Holden and Nielsen, but they didn't. Instead, 2 go the other way. Apex make it 6-0. Apex make it a grand final scrap with X-Blades. Again and again and again, and we've got it a 4th time.
Yeah, we have a real rivalry going on, Matt, between Apex and X-Blades. Let's take a look at what happened here, because Pavel Lashak, probably the fastest pilot out of the Russian team, crashed in the very first corner here in the McDonald's gate. Very unfortunate. And then he pretty much left it all in the hands of Eric Holden out of Apex Racing, who again was pretty much unstoppable. Making some beautiful corners here, making it look easy really. Nice split S here through the I-time gate. A little bit too far on the left side, but yeah, he doesn't really slow down because of that. Beautiful, beautiful corner through the Breitling gate. Absolutely punched his quad right into the Red Bull crash gate. Securing the win for Apex Racing, Eric Holden, great job. There you have it, Apex 6. And Drone Sports unfortunately ending up with 0 points. So Apex makes his way through to the finals.
Dane Grace joins me on stage. Here we go again. Apex in the grand finals, and you know who's waiting for you.
We do. It's X-Blade, and this will be the 3rd time, so hopefully we can pull off the win. 4th time, that's right. So hopefully we can do better than yesterday.
Were you worried coming into this, having the Russian team? We know they're good, but I don't think we've seen the best of them today.
We've beaten them before, so we were pretty confident.
What about X-Blades? You have beaten them before. This is the 4th time you've met. It's 2-1 to you after you won both the races in Turin, but you did lose yesterday's grand final.
Yeah, as you said, 2-1, so hopefully we can pull off 3-1 and win today.
We're going to find out. It's going to be with you very soon. Live here from Vaduz. X-Blades will face off against Apex again. Well done, Dane. Well, I hope you enjoy seeing X-Blades race Apex.
I do.
Because we
I
have
do.
had 6 Drone Prix this year, and we've seen this final 3 times, and here comes the 4th. X-Blades 6-0 dominance over Drone Sports, and that's 7-0 earlier over Quad Force 1. Racking up points in single heats, adding loads more onto them in big heats. But you know who can do that as well? X-Blades can pick up a point or 2 along the way. They're going to do it against Apex. And they're going to win it against Apex. Or are they? Who would dare guess? All we do know, on this course, X-Blades won the Grand Prix yesterday. It's going to be with you very soon, live, here in Vaduz, X-Blades and Apex. Even if you're supporting other teams, I am sure you have full of respect for these incredible pilots. We know it's going to be an amazing contest, so don't go anywhere. X-Blades against Apex with you very soon. But let's show you some more incredible flying, this time of the jet kind. X-Blades, winning last year, 2-time world champions. They got to fly with and actually fly the Breitling jet team.
I'm not really very nervous to go up and fly with the jet team. I'm just super excited to get up there.
I've always been a bit of an adrenaline freak. I love these things. I think most people who drone race love adrenaline.
I might be a little bit more nervous once I get into the cockpit, but for the moment, I'm just excited to be doing the experience.
You can do anything you want on a drone racer, but you don't feel kind of the physical forces on it, whereas here, every maneuver that you make, you'll feel it in your body.
I think Rich is going to be first to get knocked out, and then Brett throw up.
Racing drones pull way more G's the way they turn and twist. In fact, a human body can't take. I think that's pretty exciting to think of it that way. First exciting sensation, and I looked across at Gary and we both smiled on this, is when you take off, because you really feel the force of the jet engine.
My favourite part of the experience was when we were banked over on 90 degrees and you can see the aircraft underneath you and then you see the ground beneath them, and it's just such an incredible experience.
It's just so beautiful up there to start with. I mean, the view's spectacular, and these guys fly really, really close.
You're close enough that you can see the other person in the other plane's face and kind of what they're doing. It's just the most impressive part.
I think the most exciting part was definitely the maneuvers, you know, when we were pulling the full rolls and we were feeling the full G's.
Amazing! You have to kind of tense your body to not kind of black out. That's kind of something that I've never felt before, I guess.
Awesome! I think if we experience those type of Gs when we're sitting on the stage, then I think you'll probably see 4 passed out pilots on the stage.
We were close to a flock of birds. Maybe the flock of birds would have hit the engine and, you know, you had to pull the ejector seat. At that moment, you're just trying to remember the procedure of what you have to go through to pull the ejector seat, and then, you know, you're up in the air. So obviously, the physical risk to yourself is very different to drone racing, because you know that if things go wrong, you know, you could lose your life. I think the interesting thing about drone racing is your brain is tricked into the same experiences of adrenaline, but at the end of the day, you know, it's a very safe sport.
Pretty insane to kind of be able to see that and kind of feel how close they were together throughout those maneuvers.
When they let us take control of the stick, actually, the banking left and right and the pitching backwards and forwards, it's just identical to flying a drone.
Go, 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 push, 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 yes. Good. Oh, man.
It's great when you take control of the plane, you're actually allowed to fly the jet for a bit, and, you know, it gives you the bug. I want to go and get my license out.
You know, being in close formation with the planes and all the G-force and the maneuvers, I just loving it out there.
I don't think I'm going to ever experience anything like that again for a long time, at least.
Here live to you from Vaduz, capital of Liechtenstein. We're back into the pit lane in the hangar with Apex, who are urgently fixing stuff again, as we saw yesterday when they were in this position. X-Blades, being the #1 seed out of qualifying before yesterday's racing, they go in semi-final #1, so a little bit more relaxed for them ahead of the final. Apex were #2 in qualifying, so they end up in semi-final #2 should they get there, which they did. This is what we saw them doing yesterday. Same thing today, as they were second in the racing yesterday. That makes them second seed for this day. That means they're in semi-final 2. That means they're now in the final with work to do beforehand. I'm Matt Andrews, Martijn de Kemp with me here. Can't wait for this grand final.
No, me neither. No, let's do it all again, right?
Yep, every time these teams meet, and I know we keep seeing it, and maybe people would wish we'd see, you know, MCK in a final with Veloce.
Yeah, I would love that as well.
Team and Raiden Racing go all the way. Wouldn't that be phenomenal? Like, we get it, we know. But what we've got ahead of us are 5 more races here in Vaduz, 4 single heats and a big heat, and the caliber of these pilots.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. On the right-hand side, we have Timothy Trowbridge, former X-Blades pilot, as you mentioned, mounting some fresh batteries under his quads. Eric Holden seems ready. I just saw him check all his propellers. That's what he always does.
Quite often puts his hands in his pockets or in his video. I don't know if that's a cold thing or a nerves
I think
thing,
so.
or...
I think so, yeah. Cold fingers is really not what you want. He's checking it again. Eric Holden has a thing with propellers and checking it before the race. Yeah. I've seen him do it
many times. It's a little kind of nervous,
times.
like, you know, those things everybody has.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you don't want a propeller to fly off mid-race.
Timothy's on his way to prep. He's done the prep in the hangar. Now he goes to our preparation area, which is where they hand in the drones. He's going to meet Chief along the way. Chief willing him on, I think. Yep, plenty of support. Look, all our pilots here, all egging each other on.
Everyone
Evan,
wishing him
there
good
you go.
luck.
Evan wishing him good luck. Of course, Quad Force 1 would love them to beat X-Blades. X-Blades are in the lead. And look, they're ready.
They are.
There are their drones.
Yeah,
those are the spare ones in the box. They're not just a bin of drones in front of it.
As I mentioned earlier, it's a bit of an advantage if you are in the first semi-final, because you have much more time to prepare your drones, be sure everything is ready, get your mind right, focus on the grand final that's up ahead. And for Apex, it's a little bit more stressful, but to be honest, yesterday was I saw them running around and tinkering. Now they seem pretty confident.
If you're wondering why they're going to the positions that they're going in, it's based on the seeding order on stage and the drones and start blocks. So Timothy Trowbridge, slowest in qualifying for his team, 20th out of all of the pilots. So that means he races in the first single heat, and that means he puts his drones in position 8. That's what they're doing there. There's Gary and Brett looking ever so relaxed. Oscar's in position 6, Eric in position 5 as he was the best for his team. He was best of everybody. He was number 1 in qualifying. And of course, the pilots fly in and get some practice on our course. So today is Saturday. We raced on Friday. Thursday was the first chance that they had to fly this thing. A lot of them arrived earlier on in the week. We're flying elsewhere. You and I drove past Quad Force 1 practicing in a field as we were on our way into the city centre. Thursday night was the first chance any of these pilots flew this course for real, but of course they put in hours, some of them many more hours than others, on the simulator.
On the simulator, yeah.
DCL the game. 28th of January next year, full release of that. Looking forward to seeing that, playing some multiplayer, seeing these guys continue their qualifying, and maybe you, the gamers, you can join these teams. DCL the Draft will be back next year. There's more news on that later on. Brett ready to go. And a big squad of X-Blades. There's Richard, the team owner, talking to Gary.
Yeah, Gary wasn't feeling too well today. He has some problem with his stomach. I don't know. He said he wasn't really eating and had some tea today. As I could see as well, he wasn't flying his best races today. But he has such a strong team around him.
That's a team, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what you got to have. Well, they want to get on that stage.
They will pick it up afterwards.
Team managers wishing each other best of luck. Great sportsmanship between those two.
Yeah, Richard, the team owner
so
of X-Blades, shaking hands with all of Apex. These guys know everything about drone racing. They know these pilots. Of course, there's an extra bit here that Timothy Trowbridge would love to be at his old team. He's said that on stage. So well, maybe they should have kept me. It's coming. It always, always, always delivers. After another amazing day of racing of the Drone Prix Liechtenstein, Veloce fell to X-Blades in the semi-finals, as they did in yesterday's quarterfinals. China Dragons were knocked out by them earlier on than that. Meanwhile, Apex have had a very clean route, 7-0 over the Americans, 6-0 over the Russians, leaving pilots and drones in their wake as they come to the final. One of these teams will get 250 points to the World Championship, the other 220. Not a lot then, not a lot of difference for the World Championship between these teams, but all of it is going to count as there aren't many races left this year. Here is the grand final. Brett Collis, Gary Kent, Luke Bannister, and Killian Rousseau. They're X-Blades Racing. Oh, it's the guys back again, ready to rock the stage. Dominic against Glenn, X-Blades against Apex. So much respect between you teams. I know that. X-Blades, Dominic, anything you want to say to Apex?
Oh, I just want to say that we're pretty happy to be here on stage in the finals again. We have one of our hardest opponents against us, X-Blades Racing, which we really respect as great sportsmen. And yeah, may the best win, and hopefully that's us. Thank you.
Glenn, I know you want it to be you guys, of course, who come out on top. You're 2-1 in the lead at the moment for the season between you teams meeting in grand finals. And there aren't many points left, really, this season, so you've got to get as many as you can now.
Yeah, of course we want to win. We need to win this championship, or at least want to. And we really think that we can take this to Apex today. So, but they are, I'm sorry, to X-Blades today. But they are really good. But it'll be a hard fight, but we'll hopefully come up on top.
Can't wait to see it again. Good luck to both teams. We've met X-Blades, and here are the pilots for Apex. Dane Grace. Oscar Nielsen. Timothy Trowbridge. And Eric Holden. Apex Racing. Oh, I can't get enough of this.
Did you notice they both did that? Dominic said we have very strong opponents in X-Blaze Racing.
Oh, I didn't realize he did. No.
Yeah. Maybe they are both saying we are our own worst enemy. You know?
Oh, a little bit of philosophy with Martijn. That's a new series to come. Maybe, surely nerves.
10 seconds countdown.
Right. Here it all comes then. Enjoy this, everybody. First, Gary Kent will race Timothy Trowbridge. He beat Trowbridge yesterday. He lost to him in Turin. What do we get today? Well, we get a good start from both of them. Trowbridge makes the better of the first turn and comes out in the lead with a third of a second between him and Gary Kent around Parliament towards the Liechtenstein Gate. They'll go. I hope we get all of these races all the way to the end. Gary Kent's not been feeling too well. He has had a few crashes here. He has a lead over Timothy Trowbridge. Not much in it. Lap number 2, both still flying. Trowbridge has slipped a little bit further behind. Gary goes under, Gary goes over, Gary goes to McDonald's Gate. Trowbridge goes in to a hurdle. That's costly, that's out. Looking up at the sky, his camera's bent, it's not flying, it's done. Gary Kent beats Timothy Trowbridge in the first single heat. Oh, that one hurt. That one hurt him. First blood, the Brits.
Yeah, beautiful racing by Gary Kent. They went side by side through the first McDonald's gate. One at the left M, the other at the right M. Oof, that's a hard crash by Timothy Trowbridge on the second DCL banner. Yesterday we had a lot of pilots struggling with those banners. I think this is the second pilot we've seen hit one of the banners today.
Kilian
Sparks flying
Rousseau.
off.
Sorry, man. Excited to see Kilian fly off against Dane.
Yeah, I completely understand.
Yesterday, Kilian lost to Dane. They both made it to the end. Dane was the winner. Got him again. Kilian Rousseau. Dane Grace. Away they fly. Good reaction times for both of them. That's Rousseau's view as Grace was slightly in front of him, so Rousseau's gone in front of Grace. I think this lead will switch back. Looked like Grace might have had him on that turn. He's above him, he's in front of him here. Kilian comes up quickly through the Liechtenstein Gate with 1600ths of a second between them. Towards the I-Time Gate. Better approach from Kilian, but Grace still has the lead. I think Kilian's going to catch him on that bend as he's really good at that Breitling turn. But although he did, Apex had blitzed away down the straight. Grace is now a lead at 3/4 of a second over Kilian Rousseau towards Parliament. They'll go, and Rousseau's got to make these great turns that he can do. And he's got to make them all because he's got to close that gap. He's made no dent in it yet. I-Time Gate is high for Kilian. He'll take a lot of speed down. He's above Dane Grace on the exit. It's going to come to the wire. Grace has got the lead and he's got the finish. Or is Rousseau for him at the end? Grace is on the floor. He hasn't made it to the finish, has he? You saw Dark X's reaction on stage as Kilian has got 2 for X-Blades. But nothing in it between them.
Yeah, take a look at this one. This is absolutely super tight split S. We see Apex going too wide. X-Blades, Kilian overtaking him there. Absolutely gunning for the for the Red Bull crash gate.
Oh, Dane missed the finish by some way. He curved that Martijn.
Really
His drone steeply swings to the right.
Yeah. I think he went over the right side of the stage, trying to overtake Kilian Rousseau again.
And I've praised Apex up for the way they celebrate every little bit of a win of their pilots.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Look what that meant to X-Blades. They never get tired of winning. Absolute elation on the face of Luke Bannister, bouncing out of his chair. He's back into it now as it's his turn. 2 in the bag for X-Blades. Yesterday, when Luke Bannister raced Oscar Nielsen, Nielsen crashed and Bannister got the 3rd. Bannister, Nielsen away. Nielsen's clipped the McDonald's gate, still flying. Doesn't look like it's caused him much harm. Not far on Bannister's tail either. He's gone a much wider route to Liechtenstein gate, and he's made it work. 33 hundredths of a second between them, and that isn't going to hang around because Nilsson has passed Bannister, who's gone desperately wide on the government building turn and slammed it into the side of the stage. No one's hit that, I think, ever in racing in Vaduz. Nilsson puts one on the board for Apex and starts to make this a much tighter competition to the enjoyment of everybody here. Great stuff. There you go, Oskar Nilsson. Not just a brilliant individual pilot, but making it work with the team as well. 2-1 for X-Blades.
Yeah, Luke Bannister knew that his opponent was right behind him, so he took all the risk here with the iTime gate. Look at that pre-steering, super tight, a bit too tight, so he had to overcorrect. And he was not able to make the right corner there. Coming too far out on the inside, and on those kind of speeds, there's just not much room for error.
Well, it's extremely dramatic, as we knew a final between these teams would be. Yesterday, it was 2-2 after the single heats were done. And then X-Blades managed, in the hands of Kilian Rousseau, to win the big heat and win the day. Eric Holden wants to even it up and take us to the same situation. This prop spin beautifully into this. And attacks the launch with a great time of 2/10, 1/5 of a second, but Collis doesn't care because he's got him. Look at that, great split times in these two pilots. This is going to be a thriller. If we get it full distance, Brett crashed out of it last time these two pilots met. Hold on to your seats, everybody. Collis versus Holden. And the lead goes back and forth, and it's a roar from the crowd in Vaduz. They enjoy this action. But Holden has swung out of that with trouble. He's still flying, though. Collis has got a bigger lead over him as Holden's only just making it around the tree. There he goes. He's heading towards the Liechtenstein gate, and he's got to throw everything in now. 1.77. Surely too much to ask of anybody against Brett Collis with this little amount of race to do. And Holden tried, but he's crushed it. Collis comes in with the third for X-Blades, and the dominant lead into the big heat is going to be in their hands. It won't be 2-2, it will be 3-1. Gutted for Eric Holden there.
Yeah, as we've seen time and time again, Brett Collis just has nerves of steel. This was side-by-side racing, back and forth. Brett Collis making a little bit of a pirouette before entering the Red Bull crash gate after Eric Holden crashed, unfortunately.
Well, it's a different situation to yesterday then, where it was 2-2. It just meant the winner took everything in the big heat. Whoever got there first gets the one for the team, gets the big win of the day. And that was Kilian Rousseau. Now, they're 3-1 up, and you heard it earlier. We got that insight to tactics, and they've shared it before. We know how this works. X-Blades do not need to win the big heat. They just need to stop Apex getting 2. That's obviously tough, because it's not like you can hang around and just pick up 4th. You've got to really stop them getting 1st and 2nd. Apex are 2 finisher points behind as well. So, 1st and 2nd will get them to 2 heat points. That will even things up on finisher points if nobody else finishes. If anyone else finishes, finisher points start coming into the bag. But I tell you what, if they're tied on finisher points, X-Blades will be the champion. If it's all a tie on heat and finisher points, because X-Blades then get the better position in qualifying, so that makes them the champion. What do you do, Apex? Now, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Let's get rid of all the questions over finisher points. Who else comes in where? 1st, 2nd, and 3rd for Apex, and the big trophy of the day goes alongside the runners-up one from yesterday. Loving seeing families having so much fun here. It's always a party wherever DCL goes. Do come and join us if you can. At the end of the 2018 season, when we crowned X-Blades the world champions in Rapperswil in Switzerland, surrounded by Lake Zurich, We had drone racers come and join us from all over the world. I know a lot of the British drone racing community flew out to come and say hi to all the pilots. I bumped into some guys I haven't seen since drone racing many years ago. It was a big celebration. People coming to see the best in the world fight it out for the World Championship. Our final race of the year. You'll find out later. Here's the final race of the day. It's white and light blue everywhere around the McDonald's gate, and Brett Collis got the better of the turn, but with 1/100th of a second between him and Dane Grace. Incredible action as all of these pilots are flying. All 8 of them scrapping it out. We'll go through high time and 2 of them come down. Making it through Breitling and heading up over. Never mind having to stop them getting a win. Brett Collis wants to take it outright. He's up there. Rousseau is with him, but nearly a second behind. Holden and Trowbridge have to move. And they're fighting with everything they've got right now, but Brett Collis is cleaning out in front. It looks like Apex might have moved up in a second. Rousseau's taking it back. First is Brett. Third is Rousseau. In between is Apex. With Eric Holden and Trowbridge just fractionally behind in fourth. Fantastic, phenomenal racing. And with Brett Collis, X-Blades are the champions here in Vaduz, back to back. And the relief, yeah, they were 2 points going up into that big heat, but it's this team that you were facing, and you cannot expect them to give you anything but the very best they've got. Look, Glenn there huddling up his team. After they won back-to-back over X-Blades at our previous location of Torino in Italy, now they are back-to-back runners-up behind X-Blades here in Vaduz. Incredible from both teams again.
Beautiful, beautiful racing as we see drones crashing left and right. Brett Collis was leading from the start. Yeah, beautiful cornering here through the I-time gate, but absolutely nailing this corner through Breitling. Really tight steering and slamming his quad into the Red Bull crash gate. Securing the victory. Look at the excitement of Brett Collis. Yeah, hard-fought victory. There we have it. X-Blades 4 points, Apex 1 point.
It never, ever disappoints. X-Blades in the grand final, Apex as your opposition. We know it's always going to be thrilling. Brett, congratulations, the win is yours, but oh, what a challenge.
Yeah, definitely. I think that was the hardest we've ever fought in a grand final. So yeah, that was insane. The racing was amazing.
Gary and the guys, you're all nodding with that. Gary, you agree?
Yeah, it was a really tough race, and like the best pilots in the world always push you to the limits, and Apex is certainly that.
You came into this, of course, with a 3-1 lead. Yesterday, when you faced each other, it was 2-2, so you had that little bit of an advantage. And Luke, you explained to us earlier on, you know, you don't have to win that then, you just have to disrupt them. You felt like winning it.
Yeah, that's the way you gotta go sometimes. I mean, I didn't know, it's hard to tell as well between the blue and the white drones on our cameras, so you just gotta go for it. I knew that other people go up, and I could hear the Apex coach calling the positions, and I think he was saying X-Blades 1-2, because I knew I was in first, so you don't have too much to risk though, and you gotta win, it's fun.
Luke says he helped you out. Well, it was 1-2 for a bit, but I got to tell you, you watch that one back, you'll see it was by no means determined. Any mistakes from any of you, and it would have been costly at the finish, but you got it. X-Blades, they're the champions again. 250 points for the two-time reigning British World Champions of X-Blades and Apex on 220. So they concede 30 points to their rivals again, as they did yesterday. Veloce coming third today. Drone Sports didn't manage to beat them on finisher points, which is why they're down in fourth. And the wildcard team pick up fifth. Quad Force One absolutely bottomed out. Dim and Raiden Racing earlier on, so close to a semi-final. Feels like we're going to be saying that all season. But as you'll see here, Dim and Raiden Racing failing to make the semi-finals again leaves them still on that big 0. X-Blades move up to 1,340 points. Apex Racing clear 1,000 now. They are 240 points behind X-Blades. Of course, you get 250 for a win. And there are 2 more races to go in 2019. Drone Sports, mathematically, just about in contention, but it would take a bit of a miracle with the other teams, as you've seen, of X-Blades and Apex to score nothing between now and the end of 2019. Other than that, everybody else out of contention. Drone Sports just mathematically able to take the lead, but it seems that our champions will be one of the teams we keep seeing in grand finals. Shortly then, here in Vaduz, we'll be bringing you the prize giving between these amazing teams. So close between them. Then to the stage, the champions here in Vaduz. We'll start off with the team who are in third place. Welcome the Koreans of Veloce Racing. Led out by MCK, brilliant Min-Jae Kim, Young Rock Sun, and Ethan Kling. And to present their prize, third on our podium, we welcome Andreas Coleman, the CEO of Speedcom. Congratulations, Veloce Racing! Min-Jae wanted that. Give it to Min-Jae. The runners-up here in Vaduz. Welcome back to the stage from Denmark, Apex Racing. Dane Grace with Oscar Nielsen, Timothy Trowbridge, and Eric Holden. And to present their prize, the marketing director of McDonald's Schweiz, Agle Strachwitz. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the runners-up, Apex Racing! But now, please put your hands together and welcome the champions again of the Drone Prix Liechtenstein, X-Blades Racing! Killian Rousseau, Gary Kent, with their team manager Dominic Rock, Brett Collis, Luke Bannister, Harry Plested joins them as well. Magnificent work again from X-Blades. Killian, so pleased to be up there again. Now, please welcome the Premier Minister of Liechtenstein, Adrian Hasler. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the champions again, X-Blades Racing! For some of these young pilots, I don't think they've been on the receiving end of that before. I've never seen them move so fast, even when they're flying. Yes, Killian punches the air. Yes, congratulations to you and your team. Winners here Apex second, Veloce in third. What an absolutely incredible evening of racing. Again, use that word quite a lot, and I'm not sorry, not sorry.
No, to be honest, I think this might have been the best racing I've ever seen. Just back-to-back, very high competition heats, super close together. We didn't have that much technical problems.
Absolutely.
Not very much mid-airs, even though the track is super, super tight. Amazing racing, yeah. I can't put it any other way.
I've had the pleasure of being involved in all 3 of our World Championship seasons and at every race. And I think I agree with you. I think that is, without doubt, the best day. The cleanest day of racing. Incredible work from the pilots. It's always better on day 2 than it was in day 1, because obviously they spent more time on the course. But wow, they really, really sent it today. I'm sure everybody, all the drone racing fans and all the new ones as well, have absolutely enjoyed the action here. We were going to show you one of the drones and what happened to it after it hit into the hurdles earlier on, but all I can tell you is that there was a very bad lingering smell in our commentary booth as it was in here earlier, and well, we don't want to burn the place down, do we? So that's no longer here, but we get to tell you that it smells. Burn drones.
Yep, that's what we do. Fly drones, burn drones, repair them, and fly again.
Yeah, well, we do. And we do it all over the world with the best drone racing teams, as you've seen. We're the Drone Champions League, the World Championship for professional drone racing teams, our live celebration of drone sports all over the world. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Martin. It's been an absolute pleasure having you back in the booth with me.
Thank you.
I'm Matt Andrews. Join us again on our next stop, the final stop of 2019. Who will be the world champions? Will X-Blades pick it up again? Will Apex turn it around? Will Drone Sports surprise everybody and get right to the top? It's coming later on this year. Follow us on Drone Champions League to find out where. And come and join us. You've seen here in Vaduz a massive party, so much fun. Come and join us when we crown the next world champion.